driven deep to right center field. See ya! They've done it again!
For an early taste of baseball's signature rivalry, the Yankees and the Red Sox. It's baseball's last stop before opening day. Welcome to spring training.
Start of baseball, and what's better than that?
Kind of feels like the top of, the highest roller coaster, clicking up to the top, spring training, you're going up.
Just a launching point for a long season, so it's pretty exciting.
Get a chance to put on your new cleats and put on your uniform for the first time.
I think as a position player, you could be ready in a week, but the pitchers need more time.
You keep pushing, you keep working hard, you stay locked into the competition and the challenges of every day. You train all offseason to put yourself in a position to win.
Your body feels good, you're fresh, everything's easier, and then the grind starts after that.
It's the beginning of the new adventure, the beginning of a new year.
Now you can hear how excited the players are about getting another baseball season underway, as are we, as we bring you a spring training game on a beautiful night here in Fort Myers, Florida. City of Palms Park, the home of the Boston Red Sox, as Kevin Youkilis and the Red Sox get set to take on the New York Yankees here tonight. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman, Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, Buster Olney will join us in a moment. For the Boston Red Sox, tonight is the beginning of a new era, really. It's the first time that they've got both of their big-time offseason acquisitions in the lineup at the same time. And, Oral, let's start with the guy they expect to score a lot of runs here this year, Carl Crawford.
Yeah, Carl, on the cover of the media guide, a new contract, over $20 million a year for 7 years with the Boston Red Sox. The last time they did that was Manny Ramirez. With Manny Ramirez, 40 home runs, 100 RBIs. Carl Crawford hasn't gotten to 100 RBIs yet, but he'll score 100 runs for sure. And remember the wheels on the bases, excitement and stolen bases, and then the range in the outfield, anything in his zip code, he will catch.
The Red Sox are assuming that this year a lot of times Crawford will be scoring runs on hits by Adrian Gonzalez. The star, underrated star from San Diego, is now a member of the Red Sox.
Exactly, Dan. Adrian played in San Diego, and his expectations were very low. Hit 300, make the All-Star team, drive in 100. He did that. Now he's in the middle of one of the best lineups in all of baseball. The expectations have changed. They're going to look for batting titles, MVP titles, and even possibly triple crown titles. And you know what? If he's healthy, he can do it.
For the New York Yankees tonight, we're going to see one of their and one of baseball's perhaps top young prospects. Everybody is talking about a left-hander named Manny Banuelos. For more on him down to the field, here's Buster Olney.
Dan, when you talk to scouts in Florida about who's the best young pitcher you've seen this spring, that's the name they mentioned, Manny Banuelos. Now, what they like about him is his good fastball, 93 to 96 miles per hour, has good command of his secondary stuff, but they talk about his tremendous mound presence. Now, the Yankees have made the decision to send him to the minor leagues to start the year, but it's well within the realm of possibility that he'll be pitching in meaningful games against the Red Sox, maybe in September.
And we'll see another one of the Yankees' top young arms tonight in Dellin Betances as well. It's the Yankees, it's the Red Sox. Spring training baseball is coming your way next.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth.
Down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet,
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing.
What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Bigger than a fat head is the reaction it gets the first time a kid lays eyes on it. And with over 1,000 fatheads available at fathead.com, the perfect gift for every child is only a few clicks away. Get your child the greatest gift a kid can get. Go to fathead.com today.
Welcome back to Fort Myers. Just about ready to go here. The Yankees are getting ready to take their first hacks of the night against the Boston Red Sox. And a look at the starting lineup for the Yankees tonight. They have brought some of the regulars, the outfield, in fact, with Brett Gardner, Curtis Granderson, Nick Swisher, and hitting ninth is a guy who could make some noise for the Yankees this year. Another one of their top prospects, Jesus Montero, a terrific hitter, developing defensively, and has a chance to be with the Yankees when they break camp in a couple of weeks. On the mound tonight for the Red Sox, Oral, is a guy very familiar to Yankee fans, right-hander Alfredo Aceves.
Aceves is looking for possibly the long man role on this Red Sox staff. The starting staff with Daisuke and the 5-hole looks like it's set, but Aceves really kind of pitching for his life to stay in the big leagues right now. Yankees had him last year. This year, the Red Sox, he's on the other side of this big rivalry.
Non-tendered by the Yankees at the end of the season because of some recurring back problems that he says he is over right now. Aceves is ready to go. Jeff Kellogg is our home plate umpire. Brian Onora, Manny Gonzalez, and Mark Lolo rounding out the crew as Brett Gardner steps in. Had a good year last year, especially in the first half. Wound up stealing 47 bases. And in on the grass at third is Youkilis. The same at first to a certain extent for Gonzalez, as Gardner takes outside ball one. Gardner will be the everyday left fielder. The outfield is here, as we mentioned, at the home games for the most part. That's where the infield plays together. The Jeters and A-Rods of the world aren't making the 2.5-hour bus rides here in Florida, Bobby.
Especially on a night game, Dan. This is one of those times when you get home about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then often a manager will let the guys who play this game come out late tomorrow.
1-1 the count on Gardner. Hit .277 a year ago. Aceves being caught by Jared Saltalamacchia tonight. The two of them can't get on the same page. And now the 1-1. A one-hopper to second. It backs up Pedroia's step in time at first. One down as we check out the Boston defense for you. And we've talked a lot, Bobby, about what a guy like Carl Crawford can do for the team offensively, but he can also cover some ground out in left field.
He can close the gap. He can charge the ball hard. Well, his one deficiency of all his tools is his arm. And for some reason, being a left-handed quarterback who had college scholarships all over the place, he doesn't throw like a major leaguer should from the outfield.
We saw Ellsbury is back and healthy in center field. Cameron is in right tonight. J.D. Drew, of course, will also get a lot of time in the outfield. So they figure to run down a lot of baseballs during the season in the outfield. Here's Ramiro Pena, switch hitting middle infielder, vying for a utility spot with the Yankees this year. And he's in competition with Eduardo Nunez, who is also in the lineup tonight for the Yankees. And it's fouled back quickly. 0-2 on Pena. Joe Girardi, the manager of the New York Yankees, and he feels pretty good about the way camp is going so far. They're looking for a couple of starters at the back end of the rotation. They've got some guys to choose from. They're trying to figure out the catching situation. We mentioned Montero has a chance to stick, but there aren't very many questions for the Yankees. Probably fewer questions for these two teams, Oral, than just about any teams in baseball. Most of the jobs are locked up.
Yeah, the questions that they always have now for the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees are just the fact that what's going to put them over the top to win the championship. So on the Yankee side, everybody looks for A.J. Burnett. Are they going to be able to fix that and have is Phil Hughes going to be able to respond and have another good year after kind of melting down in the playoffs?
Here's the 0-2 from Aceves, and a big breaking ball is lined into right center field. It'll drop for a base hit. Ellsbury over to cut it off and hold Pena to a one-out single.
That was a breaking ball. He wanted down into the dirt, Earl, and he left it up. Hit very, very nicely into right center field. Ball stayed up, wanted it down. That's what we talk about, being short to the ball, I think is what Kevin Long likes to say. I don't like the term personally, but he really did a nice little swing, gets firm on his front side here in slow motion. See the bat coming up, goes down to get that ball. Hits it nicely.
So Pena at first with one out. Aceves checking him, and the batter is Curtis Granderson, the Yankees center fielder. Granderson heading into his second year with the Yankees after spending his first few years in the big leagues with Detroit, and I think the expectation is that maybe the numbers will go up for Granderson in year 2. Hit 24 homers, drove in 67, hit 247 a year ago. Pops him up right side. And Pedroia out of the outfield grass to make the catch. 2 down.
Dan, we mentioned Kevin Long working with Pena and the other hitters. Granderson last year made as good an in-season improvement and change as anyone I've ever seen, and it was because of Kevin Long. And he was taught to hit that pitch that was just thrown to him. It was a little cutter, came in inside zone right at the bell tie. He had a very nice pass at it. He just missed it. I think come April, May, that ball's going to be centered and hit the way he was hitting him in the second half of last year.
2 down now. The runner's still at first, and the batter is Nick Swisher, the right fielder for the Yankees. Swisher fouls it back. He had a very strong season a year ago. Was an all-star. Hit 29 home runs, drove in 89 runs. And the outfield you see tonight is the presumed everyday outfield for the New York Yankees. Gardner at left, Granderson in center, and Swisher in right.
Swish is glad to be in there today, getting some reps. He, about a week ago, went over the railing, catching a foul ball and bruised his right shoulder. Talked to him about the beginning of the game. He's finally pain-free, feels great, and able to get some reps in the batting cage again.
Now he's hitting cleanup tonight. During the season, obviously, he's not going to be the cleanup hitter once all of the regulars are in there, but he's a guy, Bobby, you can hit him second because he draws walks. You can also hit him 6, 7, or 8 in this lineup as well.
I think he's a very versatile guy who brings as much energy to the ballpark, clubhouse, and bench as any player in baseball.
Agreed. Aceves making his 5th appearance of the spring, his 2nd start for the Boston Red Sox. He's given up 3 earned runs in 7 1/3 so far.
And he's a young man, you know, he's 29 years old, only had like 12 innings with the Yankees last year because of some back problems, but he has some good stuff.
Runner goes, pitch outside, throw down, skips off the glove of the shortstop Scudero. It'll be a stolen base for Pena, and this is going to be one of the key issues for the Boston Red Sox this year. Can Jared Saltalamacchia throw runners out?
And that was a breaking ball that was left outside. It was really a good pitch to throw. The left-handed hitter up there. Saltalamacchia rushed himself a little, never got closed. You see them falling away from the plate when he throws that ball, and consequently the ball squirts out towards right center field.
He is expected to get the bulk of the catching for the Red Sox this year. Smoked back to the mound and speared by Aceves, denying Swisher a base hit and an RBI. Swisher can do nothing but laugh about it as his former teammate Alfredo Aceves robs him here on this line drive, drilled right back up the middle. Red Sox are coming up when we come back.
Opening day. It's when the new year really begins. This isn't Flag Day. This is ridiculously huge Flag Day. It's more presidential than President's Day. This is the day that fathers wish was their day. This is Christmas, but Santa has a black beard and delivers presents nobody wants.
I wrapped it myself.
On baseball's biggest stage, this is the anniversary no one ever forgets.
Opening day, March 31st on ESPN. Telecast presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Across the country, when the economy tumbled, J.P. Morgan Chase set up new offices to work one-on-one with homeowners. Since 2009, we've helped over 250,000 Americans keep their homes. And we're reaching out to small businesses, too, lending them more than $10 billion last year. We're also giving businesses the opportunity to ask for a second review if they feel their loan should have been approved. This is how recoveries happen. Everyone doing their part. This is the way forward.
How can Expedia save me even more on my hotel? By giving me huge discounts on rooms hotels can't always fill with unpublished rates, which means I get an even more rockin' hotel for less. Where you book matters. Expedia.
Welcome back to Fort Myers. Dan Shulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first. The Yankees and the Red Sox. Spring training action coming your way from City of Palms Park. And let's show you the Boston Red Sox lineup tonight. And these are the regulars, with the possible exception of J.D. Drew being in right field for Mike Cameron. Adrian Gonzalez got a bit of a late start in the spring, recovering from off-season shoulder surgery to his right shoulder. That's his non-throwing shoulder. But what an impact he is expected to have offensively and defensively for the Red Sox this year. On the mound for the Yankees, the just-turned 20-year-old left-hander Manny Banuelos.
And don't change the channel and think you're not seeing somebody that's going to be in the big leagues. And maybe even this year, this young man throws close to 97 miles an hour. He's got a great curveball, a changeup that's very accurate when he doesn't try and turn it over, because it's got great natural action. And when he's down in the strike zone, that ball has that extra foot or two that major league pitchers have.
Jacoby Ellsbury leads it off for the Red Sox. It'll be Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia, Carl Crawford here in the bottom of the first. Ellsbury's season a year ago just wrecked by that rib injury he suffered, the broken ribs after the collision with Adrian Beltre. Came back, re-injured it, didn't come back after that. 2 years ago, Bobby stole 70 bases. This can be an electrifying offensive player.
I think he's a very good offensive player when he's on base. Getting on base is the key.
Did he go? Yes, he did, says Jeff Kellogg, and the count is 1-2.
He's hit well in his career, but he's not what I would consider a great hitter. He's a very exciting player once he gets on base, and he's very exciting in the outfield.
And he will be back in center field this year. 1-2 pitch fouled off to the left. And this was one of the significant plays, and unfortunately for the Red Sox, a sign of things to come during the 2010 season. Suffered broken ribs on that collision with Adrian Beltre. Played only 18 games all season. Later on in the year, Cameron got hurt. Pedroia got hurt. Youkilis got hurt. And the Red Sox finished third, finished out of the playoffs. With all the injuries they had, they did well to win 89 games, and I think big things are expected from them this year with the new acquisitions and the assumption that they will be a healthier team here in 2011.
And the other thing that Carl Crawford brings to this team, it allows Ellsbury to play center field. When he got injured there, he was playing left field. He wasn't happy about the move when Mike Cameron came over, moved him over to left field. He had the collision, and then it took him a long time to come back from his injuries, and that didn't sit well with some of his teammates.
The 2-2 from Banuelos, taken low and a full count now on Ellsbury.
Well, the speed that he has, and you think about what Carl Crawford, this is not a base-to-base team anymore. These Boston Red Sox are going to be able to score runs even when the bats are slumping a little bit and just gain ground by 90 feet with their legs.
One of the issues, and it's a good problem to have, I guess, if you're Terry Francona. Where do you bat these guys? Does Ellsbury lead off and Pedroia hit second? Does Crawford lead off and Ellsbury hit ninth? Crawford has always said he's more comfortable not leading off. Pedroia has hit first, second, third in his career. A high ball four and a leadoff walk. Bobby, as you look at the strengths of these hitters in the Red Sox lineup, where do you think their skills are best used?
Well, I think that when Ellsbury's on base, as I said, he's very exciting. But I read Francona's comment this last week where he said, you don't like to have speed in front of great hitters, because if they get thrown out trying to steal a base, then that on-base percentage goes down the tube. So I think that Ellsbury should hit down in the order, and I think this young man right here should be leading off with Crawford number 2 and then get into the meat of that group.
Pedroia, another one of the injured Red Sox a year ago, so he looks at his strike.
I thought you made a great point, Bobby, in our meeting about just having speed in the second hole so you don't hit into double plays as much. That if you have a choice between 1 and 2, you might put the guy who's not the base stealer in 1 and have him at 2 so you get out of the double play. And also then, if 2 gets on after 1 was out, he can steal then.
Look at Pedroia chase down and away. Change up there from Banuelos, and it's 0-2.
Exactly, Earl, and that's that changeup you were referring to at the start of the show. When he just throws it, that has wonderful movement.
And you could hear the crowd here literally oohing and eyeing, seeing Pedroia come up with that wild swing and come up empty. This is part of the future for the Yankees right here. Montero catching, Banuelos pitching. Banuelos just turned 20. 5'10", about 160 pounds. Not a big guy at all. Bounces it in.
The one thing that when I watch a young pitcher, and I know this is his first start, and he just found out about it because Sergio Mitre came down with a little pulled rib cage muscle and in the oblique or something. And, you know, they have a lot of times they overpitch. You know, you can just establish your fastball and wait to see when the lineup kind of starts to catch up with it, and then go to your out pitches. And I think a lot of times with a young catcher and a young pitcher out there as a battery, they'll go right to the scouting report, right to the out pitches too soon.
In the hole at short. Throw to second in time to force Ellsbury. Pedroia reaching on a fielder's choice. Crowd didn't like the call. 1 on, 1 out, bottom of the first. Carl Crawford, one of the off-season, big-time off-season acquisitions for the Red Sox, is now coming up.
Number 13, Carl Crawford. You know, Dan, about Carl Crawford batting third. Batting third for the Boston Red Sox has had such a great tradition of such fabulous hitters in that number 3 spot. And the fans will expect excellence in the batter's box. I don't think Carl brings that.
What do you mean by he does not bring excellence in the batter's box?
Well, they understand purity. You know, there's the image of Ted Williams. You've had go right down the list of great Boston Red Sox number 3 hitters, and they've all been pure hitters. Carl is a slasher. He's unorthodox. He'll get a lot of hits, but he's not the prototypical Boston Red Sox number 3 hitter. You see him wailing at that pitch. You know what I mean, Earl? I think
Manny Ramirez,
there's an image.
Ted Williams.
There's an image of what bats third, Carl Yastrzemski, in the Boston Red Sox lineup, and I don't think he fits that image.
Now there's a guy who's going to hit a little bit lower, whether it's 5th, 6th. David Ortiz, after a slow start last year, wound up with some good numbers. No matter how they line him up, this team, assuming they stay healthy, they figure to score a lot of runs. They were 2nd in the American League last year in runs scored, even with all the injuries they had. And now they lose Beltre, who had a terrific year for them. But they get Gonzalez and Crawford, and again, they assume that Pedroia, Youkilis, that they'll be healthier.
And Martinez has gone also, who's a pretty good hitter.
Fouled back, 1-2.
Come on, make the pitch here. Come on.
Now the Red Sox a year ago, 89-73, finished out of the playoffs, 2nd in the league, as we mentioned, in runs scored. One of the big problems for them, we'll talk about this later on in the telecast, was the bullpen. And Theo Epstein went out, got some new arms for the pen, including former White Sox closer Bobby Jenks, who figures to be the 7th inning guy for the Red Sox this year. The runner goes, pitch swung on and missed, the ball dropped. So the out recorded on Crawford, and Pedroia steals second.
Oh, we've seen both young catchers rush their throws. This pitch is an up and in pitch to left-handed hitter. And with the swing, Montero leads with his left knee like he should. No, he doesn't. He just reaches for that ball, and that's why he's reaching for it and never feeling it. If he has that left knee really collapsed down, that would have taken his entire body toward that ball. Instead of just the glove, he could have gone through the ball and thrown the ball to second base. He didn't do it.
So 2 down, a runner at second for Kevin Youkilis, who will go back to third base this year. His original position, if you will, the position he played in college. And when he came up to the big leagues, because Adrian Gonzalez is now at first. He asked Gonzalez, or Youkilis rather, what his favorite position is. He said whichever one Terry Francona thinks is his favorite position. But this is what he said about playing first. It's a little too social over there. He doesn't he's not really a social chit-chat kind of a guy.
That's perfect.
And he said over at third base, he just doesn't have to talk to anybody. It's a lot quieter over there.
I asked him a few questions before the game. He gave me a couple grunts and a couple nods. And he said his arm is fine at third base. He likes playing there. And as soon as the backhand comes around, he's going to feel right at home.
He was talking a little bit about the NCAA basketball tournament. He's a University of Cincinnati graduate. They play Missouri in the first round. So he was wondering about their chances to advance. I think they've got their pool tonight. For recreational purposes only, of course. Down and in, 3-1 the count.
Oh, yes, they bet bubble gum, I think, and the winner gets a whole mouthful.
He's played more first and third in the big leagues, but again, in college and coming up through the minors, he was a third baseman, and he's happy to be back there, and especially if it means getting a guy like Adrian Gonzalez on the team. He's happy to move across the diamond. 3-1, and it's up and away, ball 4. Second walk given up by Banuelos. So 2 on, 2 out, and here comes a guy that New England is just going to love, Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez in arguably the worst hitter's park in baseball, Petco, was a consistent 30-plus homer, 100-plus RBI guy the last few years, is one of the best defensive first basemen in baseball, and also is one of the class guys in the sport as well. And he's in the prime of his career. I mean, this is the whole package that they got. And just for fun, let's look at his numbers last year, home and away. And you guys can see from this graphic what Petco did to his numbers. Almost twice as many home runs on the road, a much higher OPS. I mean, if just for fun, take his road numbers and double them, maybe that's what the Red Sox should expect from Adrian Gonzalez this year.
I think you're going to see probably around 40 and 140 if he stays healthy. With this lineup, with the support that he's going to have, just look at the way this inning was built with the discipline. Pedroia gets on the discipline of Euclid to set the table and pass the baton to Adrian Gonzalez. Big Poppy behind him protecting. Who knows who's going to be behind him throughout the year. They've got so many different bats that could be behind him. He is not alone at all.
Is there a left-handed batter who hits the ball as often and as well to the opposite field as Gonzalez? He's going to be playing pepper with the monster all summer long.
I think you're right, Dan. And interestingly enough, one of the first things they did when they started to talk to him, they asked him to move a little closer to the plate. That's really to take away the inside pitch from the opposition. They don't want to give him a lot of room to throw in. They want him to throw it away. If they throw it away, he could hit it.
Pitch inside there, 3-1.
And when he hits it, he hits that inside part of the ball and just drives it the other way. He's as proficient at that swing as anyone in baseball, and I think he's going to get pounded a lot this year inside. He's probably going to get hit quite a few times, which will get Francona up in his seat and doing some retaliation, I'm sure.
2 on, 2 out in the 3-1 from Banuelos. A swing and a ground ball to second. Nunez up with it and on to first to end the inning. No runs, no hits, 2 men left, no score at the end of 1.
Dear PlayStation, I hear there's a new way to play Killzone 3 with the PlayStation Move.
It's called the Sharpshooter, or as I like to call it, Daddy's Little Helper. It's got this rapid-fire trigger, realistic reload feature, and ridiculous accuracy. I'm playing this in 3D like 5-6 hours a day.
At work? How do you get away with that?
Get away with what? Hello? Oh, hi, Mom.
Killzone 3, rated M for mature.
PlayStation.
40 years ago, he wasn't worried about retirement. He'd yet to hear of mutual funds, IRAs, or annuities. Back then, he had something more important to do. He wasn't focused on his future. But fortunately, somebody else was. At USAA, we provide retirement solutions for our military, veterans, and their families. From investments to life insurance to healthcare options. Learn more with our free USAA retirement guide. Call 877-242-USAA.
If you're only brushing, add Listerine Total Care for more complete oral care. It works in 6 different ways to restore enamel, strengthen teeth, freshen breath, help prevent cavities, and kill bad breath germs for a whole mouth clean. So go beyond the brush with Listerine Total Care, the most complete mouthwash. And for visibly whiter teeth, try Listerine Total Care Plus Whitening.
Back in Fort Myers, we go to the top of the second inning as we move into the evening. Sun just starting to set here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Dan Schulman, Orel Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, Buster Olney all with you. Top two, Yankees and Red Sox, no score. And this is a familiar face in an unfamiliar uniform. Former Oakland A's star Eric Chavez, after years and years of injuries, mainly back problems, trying to make the Yankees as an extra infielder. Third baseman, first baseman, part-time DH, pinch hit. I mean, there was a time, Bobby, Orel, this guy was one of the best players in the game.
Well, and he looked great in BP, and he talked to him. He said he's very healthy. The back feels great. And watching the other Yankees watch him hit, how in awe they were of how pretty his swing is and how accomplished a hitter he was. And it's just about health. This guy, he can drive the ball. You talk about Adrian Gonzalez driving the ball the opposite way. This guy can stay on a pitch and drive it to left field. He can pull the ball. When I was a Texas Rangers pitching coach, we had a tough time figuring out how to get this guy out.
Billy Beane thought he was the best player in baseball at one time, and then the injuries set in.
2-0 on the count from Alfredo Aceves. And there's a strike taken 2-2. For more, let's go down to Buster.
Guys, I talked to Chavez earlier this spring, and he said that during the wintertime he actually had conversations with Billy Beane, who told him, look, don't walk away from the game until you're absolutely sure you're ready to go. And among the people he talked to, Don Mattingly, he told him basically wait until someone takes your uniform away. So he decided to come back for this year. The Yankees love what they've seen in him so far.
All right, Buster, thank you. So this is still one of the things the Yankees are looking at, one of the people in jobs they're looking at here in the spring.
I tell you, when I watched him hit and watched him move around on the field, it was like, if this guy's going to be a bench player, he's going to be a waste there if he can hold up physically.
Well, if things play out as projected, the Yankees will have 16 Gold Gloves on their bench between Andrew Jones and Eric Chavez. Now, that's not to say either is a Gold Glove player at this point of their career, obviously, but some pretty good credentials for guys who might be extra players for the New York Yankees.
It's unfair I didn't get to see Andrew Jones and see him this spring yet, but when I've seen him in the past couple years, other than maybe the little time down there in Texas, I didn't really think that he was still an everyday player. But when I watched Eric work out today and watched him swing the bat and take ground balls, I'm like, that's an everyday player. That's the skills of an everyday player. That's not a borderline big leaguer that's aged and you just want a veteran on your bench for sporadic work.
Broke the bat as he fouls it off. A look at the projected bench now for the New York Yankees. Chavez again, who could stick as a corner infielder. Andrew Jones could stick as a fourth outfielder. Right now, let's pencil in Jesus Montero as the backup catcher behind Russell Martin, and then in all likelihood either Pena or Nunez as the utility infielder.
Well, Chavez is really getting worked over here. He didn't look good at all on pitches away and just broke his bat on a cutter in. Hopefully he's got that bat that says double on it right here if he wants to make this team.
Aceves, a long look into Saltalamacchia, now has the sign. And the 2-2 pitch. Hit high in the air. Right field, playable for Cameron. One down. Aceves, the former Yankee, trying to stick with the Red Sox, maybe in a long relief spot starter role, but you never know how things will play out. Josh Beckett struggled last year, struggling this spring. John Lester, Clay Buchholz, really the foundations right now. John Lackey, decent first season. They're hoping for more in his second year with Boston. Then the big question mark, Daisuke Matsuzaka. He is having a tough spring, and he did not pitch well last year. Been a couple of years really now. As the first pitch to Eduardo Nunez is hit high in the air, deep left center field. Ellsbury back shy of the track, 2 down. And there's a lot of concern right now in Red Sox land, Orel, about Daisuke and whether he's a viable member of a rotation right now.
It's really interesting to watch the rumors and the things that swirl around, but you watch the ability on the field right now, and it's just not the same pitcher that they signed 4 years ago. And the way he goes about his business, he looks like a remade Daisuke, not the guy that was really a genius at what he did when he came over.
2 down for Ronnie Belliard.
Yeah, I'll never figure it out, Dan and Earl, that this guy was a pitching savant. He had 6 pitches when he came over from Japan. I thought they were all unhittable.
Fair ball. Youkilis inning over. More on Daisuke and the Red Sox rotation a little bit later on. We'll go to the bottom of the second here in Fort Myers. Still no score.
Hi, I'm Cheeseburger. This is Buffalo Chicken, and this is Sloppy Joe.
We're brothers.
We all taste great.
Some more than others.
Hot Pocket side shots. 3 delicious flavors stuffed into soft baked buns.
Hot Pockets.
Through our H&R Block Second Look review, we find money others miss.
Look at my taxes. Please, find some extra money for us.
There was a lot that I'd guessed at, and I have a feeling I guessed wrong.
What will we find? You. Come in for a free second look review of your taxes, even if you've already done them with someone else. Call 1-800-HR-BLOCK and never settle for less.
What does it take to fly? It takes knowing we have our work cut out for us. Flying brings more challenges every day. But if you ask any of the pilots who work here, they'll say one of the first things they learned in flight school is that if you run before the wind, you can't take off. You've got to turn into it. Face it. The thing you push against is the thing that lifts you up. So every challenge, really, is a chance to show that even in this crazy world of no liquids, take your shoes off, cost-cutting, and route cancellations, someone in this industry still has the passenger's back. It starts with a simple hello, and it ends in over 350 destinations worldwide. And along the way, we'll prove we're not just building a bigger airline, we're building a better one.
They're doing big business here at City of Palms Park tonight. The Yankees and the Red Sox are the home of the Red Sox down here in Fort Myers. Dan Schulman, Bobby Valentine, Orel Hershiser, Buster Olney, and most importantly, David Ortiz leading off the second. After a slow start, and the questions, you know, is he done? Is he getting old? He heated up and hit 32 homers, drove in 102 runs. The Red Sox picked up the option for this year at $12.5 million. And Ortiz says, don't worry about me.
I'm not worried about him after watching the display he put on BP. The ball had a different sound than last year. And he was very confident. He was his jovial self, going around a lot of camaraderie, a lot of talking to the guys, talking to the media, people around the cage, and then getting in, locking in, and hitting the ball hard.
Breaking ball from Bañuelos, a little bit of high. 2 balls and a strike. One of the issues with Ortiz is how will he hit against lefties? Last 3 years you can see he hasn't done much, and will he start sitting down a little bit more if a lefty or a tough lefty is on the mound for the opposition? Will 600 plate appearances become 500 plate appearances? Not if he keeps swinging the bat like that, Bobby.
Earl, you said he had a great BP. You're exactly right. This was a slider that was left out over the plate, and Poppy spanked it the way he's been doing it for his entire career. Ball's out there, spinning away, drives the ball in between the shifted infield, gets firm on his front side, something he wasn't doing very much early in last season. He's getting firm now, and the guys on the team, Orel and everyone involved, said that batting practice today was outstanding. Took it into the game.
So the leadoff man aboard for Mike Cameron, getting a start in right field tonight for the Red Sox. And he figures to be the 4th outfielder for Boston. But what's unusual is all 3 starters are left-handed batters. Crawford in left, Ellsbury in center, Drew in right. So Cameron figures to get in there probably somewhere almost every time there's a lefty. Drew usually misses some time, so Cameron will get in there out in right field as well. And so he'll probably get his 300-400 at bats, and he can still play defense anywhere in the outfield.
It is amazing that Drew does miss his time, doesn't he? And to have a guy like this to fill in, very nice.
That'll get through into center field, a base hit. Ortiz stops at second. So back-to-back singles to begin the inning for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the second.
A couple balls up, a couple balls out over the plate, and all of a sudden it's first and second, no outs, and you're just turned 20 a day ago, and you're in the middle of trying to break into the big leagues, get some experience. Mike Cameron delivers the ball back up the middle, trying to stay on the changeup, stay on the fastball and the breaking ball, and delivers it right back the middle of the cage like you would here in spring training, gets a base hit.
Now the catcher, Jared Saltalamacchia. A broken bat, fly ball, shallow center, and it is caught for the out by the center fielder Granderson. Hustling back is Ortiz to beat the throw that was a little bit off the bag. Good sliding catch out in shallow center by a smiling Curtis Granderson.
And he knows that's one of the tough plays to make because the swing is a full swing, but the bat breaks in half and the ball comes out like a changeup. He has a very good jump on this ball. He slides on the side of that ball and makes a very good catch. If he gets up a little stronger, he has Poppy off second base. The throw's not there.
So first and second, one out. The number 9 hitter is up now. The shortstop, Marco Scutaro. A look back by Bañuelos. And Scutaro, who hit .275 a year ago for the Red Sox, will take a strike. Rejects is the opening day shortstop right now. They do have Jed Lowry, who of course has been the shortstop at times for the Red Sox and can play other positions as well, as can Scutaro. Kind of a feeling, though, that maybe this spot is just being held temporarily for a year or so until Jose Iglesias is ready, a young shortstop prospect the Red Sox are awfully excited about.
Well, as you look at the Red Sox lineup, they might not call it official platoons, but there's enough pieces to weave in and out throughout different games and different pitchers to have an unofficial platoon with Lowry and Big Poppy and Mike Cameron and J.D. Drew, and just the pieces as they fit this together, and Terry Francona and Theo Epstein weed through who they want to play and against who. Well, they've got a lot of pieces to put a very effective lineup no matter who's on the mound against them.
They had a really good winter.
Yes,
what do you
did.
say? They won the winter. And you can see just when you visit with the players around the cage, Scutaro goes around 2-2 in the clubhouse. They're excited about this season. I mean, they see Crawford and they see Gonzalez and they see Jenks and they see some healthy people out there. And you can see these Red Sox. I mean, if they could fast forward and make opening day tomorrow, they would do it.
Yeah. I mean, just to get Pedroia and Youkilis back was 2 great signs just to get them back healthy. And that's what it feels like when you're a player on the bench.
Fastball just outside and a full count.
Well, we'll probably get another situation here, even with Poppy on second base. I think with Scutaro's back control, they'll be moving these 2 runners. Montero might get another shot at throwing the ball to the base. Just be accurate, and he'll be able to get the lead runner, that's for sure.
Definitely throwing to third.
No.
And it's outside, ball 4. 3rd walk given up tonight already by Bañuelos. We mentioned the injuries that the Red Sox suffered last year. Bañuelos is going to get a visit on the mound. There's the one, the broken ribs suffered by Ellsbury. He played in only 18 games. A foul ball off the foot of Pedroia. He played in only 75 games last year, former MVP. Kevin Youkilis suffering a wrist injury that shut him down for the last 2 months of the season. And in guys like Pedroia and Youkilis, you're not only talking about huge contributors, Bobby, but you're talking about crucial personalities in that clubhouse as well.
Clubhouse, bench, and field. They are leaders. They love to play the game. They love to compete day in and day out against the opposition, against the pitcher. And when they're on defense, against the ball, they're terrific players.
Youkilis, a guy that Terry Francona says never, ever gives an at-bat away. Grinds out every pitch that he sees all season. Ellsbury up with the bases loaded, 1 out. Bañuelos has really been struggling with his command so far tonight. There's a strike. How about that? 19 different players spending some time on the disabled list last year for the Red Sox, including 6 opening day starters. Really, when you think about it, and you know, we all know they have a big payroll, they can spend money, but 89 and 73 with the injuries they had, that's a pretty good season. Weekly hit toward third, the play's at home, and they'll force Ortiz easily for the second out.
And that's one of the things that a large salary, large payroll affords you, is that you can have some depth and you can go get other pieces, and the pieces that are behind the original pieces are a little higher quality than other people's pieces with the, you know, the mid-range market teams or the low end. Always an advantage usually for Boston and New York and some of the bigger markets.
Earl, at the top of the show, you mentioned the poise of this young man on the mound. And here it is, a situation he's going to have to show what kind of poise he has. He had the bases loaded. He got the left-hander out, which is kind of easy. Now he's 1 out away from getting into the dugout with a 0 up on the board. Let's see what he does with a very tough hitter at the plate.
Have you seen, Oral, the stuff to justify everything you've heard about this young man?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of potential on the mound, and you can tell because when the ball's in the strike zone, they are not squaring it up. And this is the A lineup for the Red Sox. He's shown all 3 his pitches. His good breaking ball, his changeup has been mostly a ball, but he's thrown a really good one over the middle of the plate with great arm action, and the velocity and life is there on the fastball. And you see nothing in his body language, even though he's been in jams, that says he's frustrated.
Ground ball to third. And across the diamond for the out to end the inning as Bañuelos gets out of the jam. The Red Sox will leave the bases loaded in the second inning.
I have a structured settlement, but I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. I have an annuity, but I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. 877 cash now. They have thousands, they'll help you too. One lump sum of cash they will pay to you. I get long-term payments, but I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. 877 cash now. 877 cash now. 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Call now.
Where can a marketing administrator be a watercraft engineer? Where can a doctor serve his community while also treating patients around the world? Where can a student stay in school while expanding his education beyond the classroom? In the U.S. Army Reserve, you'll find the strength to develop new skills and gain an edge to get ahead. There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Visit goarmy.com/reserve.
Oh, hey, buddy. Oh, yeah. Mike, I got a little constructive criticism for you. There's one thing I don't like about your commercials.
This is going to be good.
Everybody's always showing you their underwear. It's not realistic. Now, me, I just got these. Comfort Flex waistband. Doesn't pinch, doesn't bind, nothing, man. I can get so low in these. Look at this. Look at this movement. I'm like a ballerina in these things. If I could take you, I bet, in these. I bet I could take you and...
The Comfort Flex waistband. Won't pinch, won't bind. New from Hanes.
No score here in Fort Myers as we go to the top of the third inning. The Yankees and Red Sox spring training baseball. Tonight here on ESPN2, Ryan Kalish has taken over in the outfield in center field for Jacoby Ellsbury. Kalish splitting last year between the Red Sox and AAA. And one of a number of young outfielders hoping to break through and become a full-time big leaguer. There's Jorge Vasquez, who is DHing for the Yankees tonight. And he's been tearing the cover off the ball, really opening up some eyes here in the spring.
Yeah, the hitting, Kevin Long says he's had one at-bat that he hasn't liked the entire spring, and that's pretty good.
Aceves still on the mound for the Red Sox, and it's fouled back. A ball and a strike on Vasquez. You like these stories where guys come in really with no legitimate shot to make the team, but they stick around, they open up some eyes, and maybe it's not going to help them now in 2 weeks when the club goes north, but it could help them in May or June when the inevitable injuries crop up. Big swing and a miss, 1-2. Vasquez has been around. He will turn 29 tomorrow. Been with the Yankees in their system the last couple of years. Fastball runs inside, 2-2. And there's Jesus Montero, who figures if he makes the team to probably get a bit of a lower number. Still up there wearing number 83 right now. That might drop a little bit if he is the backup catcher.
I made the big leagues with 55, and they asked to change my number, and I said, I made the team with this number. I'm keeping it.
Yeah,
I kept it.
Yeah.
I was one of the highest then back in 1983, 84. So Don Drysdale had 53, and I went over top of that one.
2-2 pitch just outside. What about your first, when you were invited to spring training for the first time? Did you have an 83 or a 97 or something like that?
I think I had 55.
Really?
Yeah, we hadn't gone through that many numbers and retired, the numbers, and then it got in vogue for these guys to just continue to keep them. And Manny started wearing 99 and different numbers, the bigger ones.
3-2. There over the outside corner, and Vasquez is gone.
Aceves has really thrown quality pitches with that cutter. He hasn't done much with his curveball. He threw a couple good changeups to Ellsbury there, to Chavez when he had to, but he's really relying on that cutter, and he's throwing very well with it. And if he's going to be a long man, that's all he's going to need. He doesn't need 5 pitches, needs a couple.
Now Montero. By all accounts, his bat is ahead of his glove at this point of his career. But remember, his manager not only was a catcher, but was a catcher known for his defense and his handling of a pitching staff. And Joe Girardi says it depends on his defense. Good breaking ball there from Aceves.
And he's been working diligently with Tony Pena, the catching coach, and he leads with that left leg, and he gets down there with the right leg as he had to move that way. This way he gets down, blocks that ball, keeps it in front of him. It's a big body. There he's backhanding the ball in the dirt and keeping it right where he needs to keep it. I like what I've seen out of him as a catcher behind the plate, blocking, moving, framing pitches, holding balls. He's being evaluated day by day too, and he's worked diligently on his defense.
You could do a lot worse as a young catcher than having Tony Pena as one of your coaches and Joe Girardi as your manager to work with.
And Posada's there working with him as much as anyone.
Smoked into right center field. And then all the way to the wall and a couple of bounces. Montero is on his way into second base with a 1-out double.
Well, he didn't miss that mistake right there at all. That high fastball, and drove it into right center. Didn't try to do too much with it. And tell you what, he ran pretty good too after the swing. He's lost some weight and got in better shape, taking this big league opportunity seriously. But he got through it. And the big thing, see how he just stayed on top of that ball? It probably looked like a big old watermelon as high up as it was. You look, his eyes are probably going to light up here on super slow-mo. Stays down and through it and just hits it. Doesn't try to overswing and just hits it where it was pitched.
Well, the first report I read on him, it said he has light tower power. And watching him hit, you could see that he's going to hit a lot of home runs in his days.
I hope they don't try and shorten his swing, right, Bobby? It's the last thing we want to see.
Let's go down to the field. Buster Olney's got more on Montero.
Yeah, guys, I asked him who his model was as a hitter, and he said that when he was a boy, his father said, watch Edgar Martinez. He uses the whole field, and that's a good way to hit. And coincidentally, that's who a lot of scouts see in him. Edgar Martinez, a guy who drives the ball to all fields, and what people say about him as well, he's great hitting with 2 strikes and with runners on base.
Is it that easy? The guy you admire is the guy they compare you to when you get to the majors? That's pretty high praise for a young hitter to be compared to somebody like Edgar Martinez.
Well, the scouts that saw him this year, he's only hitting 167 up until then, so they haven't seen a lot of Edgar in him. But I can see exactly what Buster means. That he stands there, he's quiet, he has a little leg kick, and as Oral mentioned, his hands are above the ball on the high pitch, and he stays within himself. Drove that ball up and away to right center field.
So it looks like Montero at the moment probably would be the backup catcher to Russell Martin, the former Dodger. Jorge Posada is expected to be the regular DH As Gardner pulls the ball fair down the line. Montero will come to score easily. Gardner on his way to second, sneaks a peek out to right, and is contented with an RBI double as the Yankees take the lead. So Aceves giving up back-to-back doubles, 1-0 Yankees. We talked about Aceves's position on this team, the possibility of him being in the rotation or long man, maybe starting at AAA, and a lot of it, Bobby, as we were starting to say, depends on Daisuke Matsuzaka. Is Matsuzaka, for lack of a better term, fixable right now in your mind?
I think he's fixable if he could turn the page back. And talking with Kurt Young, their pitching coach, and others in the Red Sox organization, I think he has to just be himself.
It always seems, for a few years really now, that there's been a little bit of pushback between the two sides, Matsuzaka and the team, on his routine, his throwing program, his between starts program. They're still not on the same page.
No. He's long tossing every other day. Why can't he just do what he has to do, go out and pitch every 5th day? If it's not good enough, get rid of him, but at least let him do what he thinks he's capable and what he should do.
In the last year of a contract paying him $10 million a season, full no trade clause. Diving back into second is Gardner. So he was a completely different looking pitcher when you saw him in Japan than he was, say, last year here?
Well, you know, when we charted him, he had 6 pitches. As I said, they were all quality. I've never seen him throw more than 3 different pitches in a game, and he hardly ever throws anything soft when he's behind an account. I don't get it.
0-1 the count, 1 out. Pena, the batter, had a base hit his first time up. You know, one other name we should mention as we talk about the back end of the rotation and possibilities, Oral, Tim Wakefield.
Right.
The knuckleballer still there, still can be effective. Great team guy. What is his role going into this season? Is he just kind of the backup plan if something else goes wrong?
I think the long man that creates depth and can do anything. Tim's not afraid to close, but you're never going to get to that opportunity with Jenks and Bard and Papelbon at the end that are going to touch close to 100 miles an hour at times. So you really are going to be the long man, the mop-up man, and in the American League East, with all the different opportunities that the starting rotation has to get blistered on a given night, Tim Wakefield is a great resource to have in the bullpen, and then if there's an injury.
One hopper to first. Gonzalez botches it. They still get the out at first base on a Pena as Gardner takes third.
We have to see a replay because this might be the last time this year you ever see a ball hit his glove and come out.
Actually, that ball was hit off the end of the bat, and it hit a little dirt spot there and carried back towards right center field. So he thought it was going to be a backhand, and it went back and hit him in the heel of his glove. He didn't panic, fielded it nicely, and got the out at first.
And remember, he's coming back from the shoulder surgery. The reps in the field are not there yet, getting used to the speed of the game. But Adrian Gonzalez will be a Gold Glover in the American League also, and he will compete with Mark Teixeira, and he will do it in a different way. It will be very smooth. It will be effortlessly done, where Mark Teixeira does it with more athleticism.
Two-time Gold Glover while with the Padres, Adrian Gonzalez, as Curtis Granderson steps in. Runner at third, 2 down, a run in, and the Yankees leading 1-0 in the top of the 3rd inning.
Dan, one more thing on Adrian. He's going to try not to dive this year.
In the spring or even into the season?
Even into most of the season, he's still protective of that right shoulder, and diving is where he becomes vulnerable. So he's going to try to make plays while he's on his feet.
It's got to be a tough thing to do because instinctively you've done it one way your whole life, and now you're favoring something. You're thinking where you're normally just reacting.
I think you're exactly right. It will be a challenge.
Non-throwing shoulder operated on in October as Granderson takes inside 3-1.
I'll tell you what, the guy to his right, though, is going to dive a lot. Pedroia, even in infield, was diving today. He made a diving stop up the middle during infield practice, threw his glove in the air, threw his hat in the air, threw his sunglasses in the air, and just took a bow. And he was just playing the game with all the gusto you want to see somebody play. And it was just infield.
Ball 4 to Granderson. Now, we know this. When Pedroia was hurt last year, Terry Francona was overseeing a much quieter clubhouse. Pedroia is probably about 80% of the noise in that clubhouse. And Francona's regular cribbage partner as well.
Petey, his nickname would be Pigpen if he was on my team, just watching him take infield.
Here we have a situation, guys, when Saltalamakia threw that ball away first time. Everyone knows, he knows that his throwing is always being questioned. First and third, speed on both corners. If Granderson goes, I'd be surprised if he throws to second base. I think he'll eat it and try to get the hitter with two outs in second and third.
Nick Swisher, who lined one back to the mound, speared by Aceves to end the first inning. Big swing and a miss, 0-1.
By eat it, you mean you hold the ball?
That's what I mean. He'll just
big guy. I didn't think he's gonna take a bite out of it.
He'll take a bite out of it too while he's holding it, I believe, especially with 2 strikes. But I think this is a situation that they shouldn't have to put him in. But it'd be a good tester, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Saltalamakia started when he was with Texas still. Suffered from the yips, an inability to throw the ball back to the mound, even was throwing it into center field at times, and really has had to work through that over a fairly long period of time to get back to the point where he is comfortable mentally throwing the ball back to the mound, throwing the ball to second base. And there's a lot on this young man. They want him to be their starting catcher with Varitek as the backup. Ooh. 0-2 to count on Swisher.
You know, Bobby, so much of strategy in spring training is not the complete strategy you're going to use during the regular season. Some of this is about, you know, we're just going to protect people's legs. We're not going to be that aggressive and maybe get somebody hurt. Remember when Big Poppy was on second and we said, oh, probably they're going to run here. They're probably just keeping Big Poppy's legs healthy, not do it. But in the season, they'll be moving.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if they're moving here.
Yeah.
Gardner at third. Great speed. Granderson at first. Good speed. And he draws a throw.
They think he might be moving too. And Dan, on that note of having the yips, Saltalamakia worked with the late Harvey Dwarfman, who was a great sports psychologist, and he said he helped him a great deal.
We've seen it from second basemen, from pitchers, from catchers. High in the air, right center field. Cameron with plenty of room, and the inning is over. A run in for the Yankees. They'll leave a couple of men on. Buster Olney with Yankee manager Joe Girardi 30 seconds from now.
Some have said that deep within the blackest seas exists a beast named the Kraken. Those people, of course, have never been seen again. The Kraken Black Spiced Rum.
Bottom of the third, the Yankees lead the Red Sox 1-0 here in Fort Myers. Let's send it down to field level now. Buster Olney is with Joe Girardi.
Joe, tell us what you're seeing in your rookie pitcher today.
Well, I've seen he's got himself in a little bit of trouble with walks based on balls, but he's been able to get out of it. He's been able to make some good pitches. He's made a good pitch to Pedroia to get out of the last inning, and that's all part of relaxing, I think, in this type of atmosphere. But he's done a good job once people have gotten on.
Now, there's a lot of excitement about Jesus Montero's offensive potential. How much work in your eyes does he need defensively to get where he needs to be?
He is definitely a work in progress, but if you take where he is right now compared to he was last spring, he's so much further down the road, and we've been pounding him all spring long about working on his defense, and he's done a really good job, so we think he's getting real close.
A lot of talk coming into camp about the back end of your rotation. How is that competition shaping up?
Well, they've all thrown well. That's been the hardest thing, and we have 4 guys fighting for 2 spots, and they've all thrown well, whether it's been a Freddie Garcia or Sergio Mitre or Nova or Bartolo Colon. And Bartolo has been a pleasant surprise for me because we haven't seen him pitch in a while. But his sinker has been outstanding, and we're pleased with him.
Joe, thanks. Guys, back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you. Well, that last topic they covered, guys, is maybe the biggest topic of discussion in Yankee camp this year. They didn't get Cliff Lee. Andy Pettitte retired. So they've got 3 starters they know about. CC Sabathia, Phil Hughes. They're hoping A.J. Burnett has a better year. He's their number 3 starter. Banuelos, some of the young guys are ticketed for the minors. So you've got Bartolo Colon, Freddie Garcia, Sergio Mitre, who was to have pitched tonight but scratched with a pulled muscle in his side, not expected to be serious, and Ivan Nova, who made 7 starts for the Yankees a year ago. 2 of those 4 are going to be in the Yankee rotation to open the season. Crawford takes up and away. Guys, what are you hearing? What are you feeling about the back end of the Yankee rotation?
I think it's going to really come down to who they can keep and keep the depth. And Freddie Garcia would seem to me need to keep him around. Bartolo Colon doesn't have any options. If you want to keep him around, keep that deal going.
Crawford lines the ball to center, and to a knee goes Granderson to make the catch for out number 1. Let's look at some of the big picture items for the Yankees heading into the 2011 season. As we mentioned, who will be their 4th and 5th starters for Brian Cashman and Joe Girardi. This is one of the biggest stories for the Yankees. Can A.J. Burnett rebound? Got a new pitching coach this year. They're Rothschild. Can Burnett have a better year? They get Rafael Soriano. They pay him closer money to be Rivera's setup man. And what about Derek Jeter, who hit .270 last year, which a lot of people would love, but he hit .334 the year before, signed to a new contract, and a little bit contentious in the offseason. And what's in store for the captain, Derek Jeter, in 2011? Here's Kevin Youkilis, always a fan favorite, and he'll take a little bit high. Which of those stories, Bobby, jumps out to you as the biggest key for the Yankees this year?
Well, obviously the number 4 or 5 starter, but you have to remember it's also Russell Martin, Montero, and Larry Rothschild, who are the 3 guys who have to work with the pitchers and the catchers to get everyone on the same page. Tony Peña's been doing a great job with the defense, but it's Rothschild that's going to have to work with these 2 new catchers to the Yankee staff, along with the multiple starting pitchers. It's very difficult to get all that work in.
As a feeling, Oral, for a lot of people, they just need to kind of figure it out till June, and then they'll go get somebody because they're the Yankees. So Larry Rothschild, by the way, is very pleased with what he says he has seen from A.J. Burnett so far. They're trying to simplify his mechanics a little bit.
He'd been through a lot of issues off the field last year. They're trying to clear his mind and give him the fresh start mentally, and then also give him some physical cues. Maybe cut down on the leg kick a little bit. Keep his kick leg underneath his front hip a little bit more, not so swinging like a gate to pull him offline. And so Larry is a very experienced pitching coach. Did a great job with the Cubs over the years and has a great reputation, and comes in with a lot of pedigree to have people listen to him.
Swing and a miss, and Youkilis is gone. Banuelos with his 2nd strikeout of the night.
Another fabulous changeup there, Dan. That's the same pitch he threw to Pedroia earlier in the game. Stays with it, Oral. Ball fades away. It looks like a fastball. It's not. It goes down and away, caught perfectly. And Youkilis, a terrific hitter, swings and misses. And Joe Girardi says, what a great time to take this young man out of the game, striking out one of the best hitters in baseball. Great job, kid. It's your pitch limit. Take it to the showers.
As Joe Girardi said, he got into some trouble, but he got out of it as well. The one message Joe Girardi had for Banuelos before the game was, don't try to do too much. He knew that Banuelos would be excited to start a game because Mitre couldn't. But look, he's relaxed. Some smiles, some laughs, and overall a good job by the young man. Just turned 20. Through 53 pitches, had some trouble with walks, as Girardi mentioned, but got out of trouble, and congratulations all around in the Yankee dugout. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball spring training continues Wednesday afternoon. It'll be the Red Sox again, this time up in Orlando, taking on Jason Hayward and the Atlanta Braves. Major League spring training action on ESPN Wednesday at 1 Eastern. The season is not that far away. 2.5 weeks, the 31st of March, a Thursday. Remember, it's starting earlier this year. The 31st of March is the opening day for Major League Baseball, and we'll have a triple header for you on ESPN with games at 1, 4, and 8, and then a doubleheader again on Friday as well. The Yankees will host the Tigers at 1 Eastern, San Diego at St. Louis at 4 Eastern. Bobby, Oral, Buster, myself will be out in L.A. for the Giants and the Dodgers Thursday night. Then Houston, Philly, and the Red Sox in Texas on Friday, and then the Sunday night game is back at Dodger Stadium again. The closing game of that series between the World Series champion San Francisco Giants and the LA Dodgers. On the mound for the Yankees now, young left-hander Steve Garrison. He'll take over for Banuelos here with 2 outs in the 3rd inning.
He's picked up out of the San Diego organization to give the Yankees some depth in the minor leagues.
I think they're talking about the changeup. Umpires sometimes will say, hey, Skip, that kid had a really nice changeup. They'll talk about it every now and again. Here are the numbers for Garrison in the minors last year.
Actually, another thing they might be talking about, Dan, is how the umpire is reading pitches behind the young Montero. that Joe, knowing that the catcher has to work with the pitcher but also has to work with the umpire, that's a perfect time to say, hey, are you getting a good look back there? How's he framing the ball? Is he holding it, taking it off the plate? What do you see? Help me out. Umpires do that.
Yeah, for sure. And you want to know that as a manager, and you also want to know that as your pitchers develop, and see if, especially Joe was talking with Buster in between innings about how, how's he coming along defensively, and let's see if you're getting a good look at the pitch. It's just a perfect time to go out there. When there's no pressure at spring training, you get your umpires, they're more relaxed. Everybody's relaxed.
Yeah, and if umpire's not getting a good look at the pitch, he'll tell the manager.
Yeah.
He'll want the pitching coach and the catching coach to know, because he's going to get heck from the dugout if the catcher's taking pitches away. So he'll let him know. I don't get a good look, or yes, I get a good look.
Now here's the night for Manny Banuelos. So as we mentioned, just turned 20, young left-hander. Oral, what'd you think of him overall?
Well, I thought there's a tremendous amount of potential, and the only way he got in the jam is, like Joe Girardi said, not getting the ball over the plate. But when the ball was over the plate, they did not square it up. 3 above-average big league pitches.
Adrian Gonzalez takes a strike, and Bobby, you love that Joe Girardi took him out of there on a high note.
Well, Joe Girardi knows how to manage a baseball game and how to manage players, and that was the exact time to do it, and he seized the opportunity.
So while Banuelos is probably ecstatic, poor Steve Garrison has to come in here and face Adrian Gonzalez, the first batter that he gets here in the game tonight. Lefty against lefty with 2 down, nobody on, bottom of the 3rd, and the Yankees up 1-0. Gonzalez grounded out his first time up. Checks the swing, and he takes it low. 2 balls and a strike.
And he'll have two batters. He'll get Gonzalez and Poppy either this inning or next, and then he'll turn the ball over to next candidate.
Down and away. One pitcher, by the way, we were expecting to see for the Yankees tonight, Mark Pryor. But he apparently came down with the flu in the last couple of days, so he did not make the trip down to Fort Myers, but he's trying to stick with the Yankees in the bullpen, or at least show enough that they sign him and let him try to work some things out of the minors. Ground ball to first to end the inning. We're at the end of 3 here at City of Palms Park. 1-0 Yankees.
Ready for inspection.
Homefront, rated M for mature.
Play the Suburb Map, only on Xbox 360.
Across the country, when the economy tumbled, J.P. Morgan Chase set up new offices to work one-on-one with homeowners. Since 2009, we've helped over 250,000 Americans keep their homes. And we're reaching out to small businesses, too, lending them more than $10 billion last year. We're also giving businesses the opportunity to ask for a second review if they feel their loan should have been approved. This is how recoveries happen. Everyone doing their part. This is the way forward.
Escape convention. Escape definition. Escape compromise. Introducing the most fuel-efficient luxury car available. The radically new 42-mile-per-gallon CT Hybrid from Lexus. Welcome to the darker side of green.
One to nothing. The Yankees lead the Red Sox, top of the 4th inning here in Fort Myers, Florida. ESPN Fantasy Baseball is back on ESPN.com with free real-time scoring. ESPN's Fantasy Cast helps you keep up with every stat throughout the fantasy baseball season. Manage your teams on the go and get the expert advice you need to win all from your mobile phone. ESPN Fantasy Baseball. Sign up for free at ESPN.com. And a look at where some of the Red Sox stack up in the fantasy department. Carl Crawford, that ability to score runs, steal bases, drive in some runs. #1 among outfielders. And of course, the likes of Gonzalez, Youkilis, Pedroia, all near the top at their positions as well. I would think Youkilis would have double the value. You can stick him at first, stick him at third in your fantasy pool. Eric Chavez leads off the 4th inning. Dennis Reyes is on the mound now for the Boston Red Sox. A well-traveled left-hander who has pitched for 10 major league teams. The Yankees, or the Red Sox rather, of course, have Hideki Okajima as one of their lefties, but Reyes tried to stick as perhaps the second lefty out of that pen for Terry Francona. Chavez rolls over on one. Ground ball to second, one down.
Well, he did have a good batting practice, Earl.
He hasn't looked good on the pitch away today. He's been reaching for the ball out there.
Exactly. And Denny Reyes is fighting for a job to be another left-hander in the bullpen with Okajima, as it seems. And they could keep 12 pitchers, 5 starters, and 7 relievers. I don't know that they need that at the beginning of the season, but it could be a luxury. Terry Francona always likes 2 left-handers.
Eduardo Nunez runs up to bunt and got the bat out of the way on the appeal, so it's ball 1. By the way, Daniel Nava has come into the game at left field for Carl Crawford.
Now, Dennis Reyes, you said it was well traveled, but Dennis Reyes is a quality left-handed pitcher. Last year with the Cardinals, 51 of his 59 outings were scoreless. He has very good command of his off-speed stuff, almost better command of the breaking ball and the changeup than he does his fastball, and that's the thing that'll get him in trouble. But when you have a base open, maybe you're the specialist lefty. Your first job is to keep the guy in the park. Your second job is to get him out. And so if he knows as a veteran the situations that he'll be brought into, it'll give Terry Francona a lot of comfort of knowing who's coming out of the bullpen and how he's going to execute his pitches, even if he ends up walking someone. And in his career, his walks are high, but I'll bet you a lot of them are strategic walks.
Past the mound, another play for Pedroia out at second. And they get Nunez by a step for out number 2.
Well, he's not a very good fielder, but he does give you a very good option out of the bullpen. He's not afraid to throw to right-handers. He's not just a left-handed specialist. He's been through the wars, and I think he's a good chip.
I think he is. I think he's a key integral part of a successful bullpen, and I think he's moved around because he has value and general managers want him around. He doesn't move because he doesn't have value. He moves because they want him.
Ground ball in the hole at short. Scudero back to his feet. A long throw, not in time. It'll be an infield hit for Ronnie Belliard.
Nice play by Scudero. Sliding with a great backhanded play. Got to his feet. One hop to Adrian. No question. Not getting by him, Earl. Here it is as he dives, gets to his feet, plants it. Throws it strong. A little short, but a one-hop pick by Adrian Gonzalez at first. Bang, bang, goes to the runner.
I'll tell you what, they are going to enjoy having Gonzalez over there because they know just get it in the vicinity and it's going to end up in that glove sticking.
Probably the toughest pick to make right there, the high hop.
So 2 down and a man at first for Jorge Vasquez, who was caught looking his first time up. And the first pitch from Reyes, a breaking ball right there for a strike.
Well, Vasquez struck out on a 3-2 fastball away, maybe just off the plate, maybe not, but know that big league pitchers, even in the bullpen, have watched the sequences, have seen where people have been burned or maybe have a little sensitivity of what the umpire has done to them, and you can look from at bat to at bat and where that hitter might be a little bit more liberal with his pitches. Reyes might accentuate that outside corner right there.
Chopped up the third baseline. It is a foul ball. Boy, a late signal between the two umpires as Youkilis picked it up just in front of the bag, which dictates that it's the home plate umpire's call. But the initial call was made by the third base umpire. We had a little confusion down on the infield. Spring training for everybody. Huh?
Everybody has to work on it. This might not be, or might be, the group that you'll be working with as an umpire. So you're getting used to each other if, in fact, this is spring training for them. And the timing of plays is really what they need to work on.
Beautiful night here in Fort Myers. Yankees and Red Sox. A 1-0 lead for the Yankees in the top of the 4th inning. See the Red Sox and the Braves Wednesday afternoon on ESPN. Throw over, runner back. There's another left-hander who's bidding for the same job maybe that Reyes is. Rich Hill, the former Chicago Cub, who we expect to see in this game as well. We're always given a list, so you know how it works in the spring. A list of the tentative pitchers. As the runner goes, they throw behind him. Gonzalez down to Pedroia for the easy tag. Belliard thrown out, and the inning is over. Yankees still lead 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the fourth.
Fathead is the reaction it gets the first time a kid lays eyes on it. And with over 1,000 Fatheads available at fathead.com, the perfect gift for every child is only a few clicks away. Get your child the greatest gift a kid can get. Go to fathead.com today.
It's opening day. It's when the new year really begins. This isn't Flag Day. This is ridiculously huge Flag Day. It's more presidential than President's Day. This is the day that fathers wish was their day. This is Christmas, but Santa has a black beard and delivers presents nobody wants.
I wrapped it myself.
On baseball's biggest stage, this is the anniversary no one ever forgets.
Opening day, March 31st on ESPN. Telecast presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Some have said that deep within the blackest seas exists a beast named the Kraken. Those people, of course.
Oh dear.
Have never been seen again. The Kraken Black Spiced Rum.
Bottom four with Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, and Buster Olney. I'm Dan Schulman, and welcome to Fort Myers, Florida. 1-0. The Yankees lead the Red Sox. David Ortiz leading off the inning for Boston. Had a base hit. Eventually forced it home back in the second. Against young left-hander Steve Garrison, and a big swing and a miss. Poppy out in front. The count 0-1. You wonder if he can get off to a good start, have a good April. If Mark Teixeira for the Yankees, who every year it seems to struggle, if he can get off to a good start. Both of these guys driving 100 runs year after year, even with slow starts. Inside corner. Poppy not sure, and the count is 0-2. You can see what Ortiz has done through the early part of the season, both last year and the year before. But he gets it going. Popped up, the shift is on, so a long run for Belliard at third, but he'll make the catch, one down. Now look at some of the headlines for the Boston Red Sox heading into the 2011 season. They had a great offseason, getting two of the star players in baseball, signing Crawford, trading for Gonzalez, Youkilis, Pedroia. Healthy right now after injury-plagued 2010 seasons. In the rotation, especially Josh Beckett, can he bounce back from a subpar season a year ago? And the bullpen, Jonathan Papelbon had probably his worst season since becoming a closer, since becoming a big leaguer. They've also picked up Bobby Jenks, so they're looking at Jenks, Bard, and Papelbon at the back end of that bullpen. That's a lot of velocity, Oral, if everything works out.
It sure is, and big story with Papelbon at the end of the game.
Cameron with a towering fly ball to left center. Granderson there, 2 down.
Jonathan Papelbon has had a lot of blown saves, 8 last year. His batting average against was escalated a significant amount, and he's going into a free agent season, and then they've got the 2 backup closers behind him now, so his future is in his own hands.
A quick 2 down for Garrison here in the 4th after he got Gonzalez to end the 3rd. Now Saltalamacchia 0 for 1.
Isn't it interesting that the two largest markets will have catchers that are kind of unknown? Russell Martin, Montero, Saltalamacchia. Of course, Veritek will be in there with the Red Sox at times. But really, as much as and as big as the payrolls are, as important as the pitching staffs are, and as big as the games that they're going to play, a lot of responsibility for some pretty unknown quantities. Other than Russell Martin was an all-star, but really has not been on top of his game for about 2 years.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's very perplexing.
It's puzzling.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
You would take the catcher over the 8th inning guy or the 4th starter, that important a spot?
If he's available. I guess, you know, the cupboard was bare this year.
A ball and 2 strikes on Saltalamacchia as Bobby Jenks, a new member of the Red Sox, begins to warm up. Former closer with the White Sox, including the year they won the World Series back in 2005.
And peace has come over Bobby Jenks and Ozzie Guillen. They've had some verbal battles here as Jenks has left Chicago and talked about he's going to be fun to play for a manager that actually knows how to manage a bullpen. But they were sparring through the media for a while, but Terry Francona put that to rest.
Now, Terry Francona is such a good people person. He can not only diffuse things in his own clubhouse, he can diffuse things that are going on between one of his guys and somebody on another team. Francona just manages people and the media and the market, the scrutiny, the fishbowl in Boston just as well as you can do it.
Does a pretty good job of managing the baseball game, too.
Yeah,
Terry
he does. Yeah.
Is very well respected in the game of baseball, and rightfully so.
1-2, way outside.
I had the pleasure of working with him on the coaching staff at the Texas Rangers when Jerry Narron was the manager, and got to know Tito very, very well. And you could just tell that the experience he had in Philadelphia, that he was going to end up in the big chair again.
And he's probably going to be in that big chair for a while. This is
as long as he wants to.
This is a job not going to open up for a while.
And when I saw him today at BP and standing next to Jason Veritek, I was wondering if someday the mantle would be passed to him.
Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. 4 in the books here at Fort Myers. 1-0 Yankees. We'll visit with Terry Francona when we come back.
Unrestrained, unexpected, and unlike any hybrid you have ever known. Introducing the most fuel-efficient luxury car available. The radically new 42-mile-per-gallon CT Hybrid from Lexus. Welcome to the darker side of green.
And we're back here at City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida. Dan Schulman, Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine. I think we're heading down to the dugout now with Boston manager Terry Francona. Terry, you there?
Yeah, guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
We had some fun because it's, you know, we can talk about these things. Your batting order. You've got so many options. Do you have a date in your mind when you're going to say to yourself, this is the way I want to start the season?
When's opening day? It's not as much of an issue with me. I think people have had fun with it. But I think it'll kind of make itself out. We want to get guys at bats now and get them ready for the season. And I think we have some interchangeable parts, but again, if guys do what they're supposed to, nobody will be talking about our batting order.
Well, it's got to be fun for the first time to have Adrian and Carl in there.
It's real fun. Adrian's working on 4 at bats now, but he looks healthy. And, you know, we're going to have to ease him into it a little bit, but and it's not just his at bats, it's the way he plays first base. And you guys have seen it. He's really going to help us. We got a guy smack in the middle of the order, and then we got Carl at the front of the order that can run. It's exciting.
And it has to be exciting to have Uke and Pedroia back. I know how much they mean to you and your team.
You know what, Bobby? Everybody talks about getting Carl and Gonzi, but we get Uke back, we get Petey back, and we get Ellsbury back. That's our first 5 hitters in our order, so it is exciting.
Terry, thanks for the time. Have a great season.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Terry Francona, the manager of the Red Sox. We'll have the Red Sox season opener on the 1st of April down in Arlington against the Rangers at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Jonathan Papelbon comes into the game. The Red Sox closer. The numbers from a year ago blew 8 saves, the most walks he's ever given up, gave up the most home runs he's ever given up. He's heading into his walk year this year, so we'll see if he bounces back. And again, they've got Jenks and Bard and a lot of options down in that pen, but they're looking for a big year out of Papelbon. Jorge Vasquez will lead it off for the Yankees as we go to the 5th. A 1-0 lead for the Yankees here in Fort Myers. And we've just got guests aplenty here right now. We just had a chance to speak with Terry Francona. Buster only spoke with Joe Girardi before. Now we welcome in the Vice President and General Manager of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman. Brian, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. How's March going for you so far?
Good. We've had a good March. Great weather. Got to stay healthy. Got a long way to go, though.
A long way to go when you haven't even played one game.
That's right.
Well, we've had a lot of fun talking about some of your young guys, Bañuelos. I think we're going to see Betances. We've talked about Montero. You got to be excited about the next wave.
Yeah, we feel we got a lot coming. You know, our scouting department's done a great job. Our development department's done a great job. And these kids are hungry. They want to make a name for themselves. So, like this kid Vasquez.
This guy can swing the bat a little bit this spring, huh?
Yeah,
this one will stay in the park.
He's got some power. He was the MVP of the Caribbean World Series. So, you know, he can really thump it. So he's all bat. You know, he's got a lot of power.
You know, one guy who I think we were hoping to see tonight, but I guess he came down with a flu, is Mark Pryor. What kind of a spring has he had so far?
He's done okay.
Yeah.
You know, he's not the Pryor of old that people remember. You know, he's obviously fighting for a one-inning stint and out of the bullpen situation for the most part. But, you know, he's remade himself, and he's got more pitchability now than he did before. Obviously, when he was a pure power pitcher with pitchability, now he's obviously got to rely on his knowledge of the game and a lesser version of a repertoire. But he can still compete, and he can still get people out, we think.
Jesus Montero is the batter with a one out here in the top of the 5th inning. Papelbon on the mound for the Red Sox. I know one thing that your organization did, Brian did right away, was step up the earthquake in Japan and the horrific tragedy that's going on over there. I mean, it was minutes, it seemed, before you donated $100,000 to 2 organizations over there. And I know you guys are always out in front of this, feeling the civic duty to get involved.
There's no doubt George Steinbrenner really, you know, set the tone that way, and their family, their kids have followed suit. And it's like clockwork. They right away realize, you know, when there's a tragedy that is taking place somewhere throughout the world, if they can utilize their situation to help, they will. And so, you know, Japan's a dear friend, obviously, to Major League Baseball, and for a lot of reasons. And so it was great to see that. So 50,000 went to, I think, the Salvation Army, 50,000 to Red Cross, and we'll continue to do more efforts as we move forward.
Brian, as you know, every person in Japan breathes and lives baseball, and there's so many people that are dying now and so many hearts that are broken. A gesture by the Yankees, a gesture by Major League Baseball that will continue is going to mean so much to so many people. I commend you for that.
No, I appreciate it. And Bobby, I know you know more than anybody. You have more friends and family over there now, and with all the work you've done over there. And I know that we all need to step up. It's a great country. They're great people. They're dear friends. And, you know, it's very difficult to see what's taking place over there.
Brian Cashman, the Vice President and General Manager of the Yankees, joining us here in the booth. Dan Schulman, Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine. The Yankees leading the Red Sox 1-0 in the 5th as the Yankees have made the trip from Tampa down here to Fort Myers. Maybe about 2 hours, I would guess. Something like 2 hours to get down here. Not too bad.
Depends who's driving.
And amazingly so, their bus coming down today splat a bird on the windshield, splattered the entire front windshield of the bus. Yeah.
Wow.
Luckily, Joe Girardi was sitting in the back seat playing little cards with the other coaches, and he wasn't right up front there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an eventful drive down apparently for those on the bus. So when you get to be the GM, you get to drive separate.
Go yourself.
Nice.
Well, the bus ride was eventful, but what is the eventfulness going on in the starting rotation and the competition through your eyes?
We've had a good competition. I'll tell you what. Up until this recent turn, you know, Freddie Garcia, Bartolo Colon, Sergio Mitre. You know, these guys have been going hard at it. Ivan Nova, who's one of our young prospects, they've all put forth, you know, a fair claim to be a part of our rotation. So.
How much weight do you put into spring training performance compared to, let's say, track records or stuff that the young kids have shown in the minor leagues and then start to show it in spring training?
I think it's a fair question. I think the answers are different for each. You got to balance. You know, you have a young kid who looks like he's ready in Nova, so at some point you got to give him the opportunity unless he somehow coughs it up. You know, you have that wrestling match. You have, for instance, what you've seen in Freddie Garcia, which has a consistent track record of also having poor spring trainings. He's actually having a good spring for us, but historically, the last number of years, he's been terrible in the spring. But you know he's a gamer. He's at huge pitch ability. Bartolo Colon, who missed all last year, has come in with, you know, tremendous stuff. Our bench coach, Tony Payne, managed him in winter ball. He knows him really well. And then Serge Mitre, obviously, we've had now for a number of years, and we know what he's all about. So there's track records, there's projection, there's
So pretty much you're not going to expose your hand.
Yeah, I'm trying to use everything.
It all.
Track
Get it all.
record,
Bring
hope,
it all
projection. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I fill your time properly.
It's a fluid
your time, right?
Very good. It's a fluid situation right now. Is what
It's going to have to be, and unfortunately, we got a few more weeks to be fluid on it because we'd like certainty, but it takes time.
Brian, thank you. Have a great season.
Thanks for having me on.
Brian Cashman,
There you go.
Vice President, General Manager of the New York Yankees. Larry Lucchino, the President and CEO of the Red Sox. When do we come back?
Now at Sonic, there's premium beef hot dogs like the Chicago dog.
The New York dog. The All-American dog.
And the chili cheese coney from my home.
Russia?
Coney Island.
Hot dogs, made with 100% pure beef. Now at Sonic.
Through our H&R Block Second Look review, we find money others miss. What will we find? You. Come in for a free second look review of your taxes, even if you've already done them with someone else. Call 1-800-HR-BLOCK and never settle for less.
So at our company, we pay about the same, even though I'm a great driver and he's not so much.
Well, for a driver like you, I would recommend our new Snapshot discount. This little baby keeps track of your great driving habits so you can save money.
Amazing.
It's like an extra bonus savings.
He's my ride home.
How much can the Snapshot discount save you? Call or click today.
Hey, Smart, you book your room yet? Nope. See, Hotels.com has over 20,000 last-minute deals every week, so I get a great deal no matter how long I wait.
Yeah, I'm not very good at waiting.
Then we must train you to wait. It is time to book, Grasshopper.
Cool.
Now, it's okay to wait. Get great deals, even at the last minute. Hotels.com. Be smart. Book smart.
It's our duty to serve veterans and military families who serve their country in the most difficult ways imaginable. Together, we can say thank you in so many ways. Small acts of kindness mean more than anything. With our support, veterans and military families can face even the most difficult challenges. Let's honor their service with ours.
Bottom of the fifth inning here at City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida. Along with the Buster Olney, Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, I'm Dan Shulman. The Yankees and a lot of their fans are in attendance here in Fort Myers. The Yankees leading 1-0, and another one of the young arms that the Yankees are excited about, Dellin Betances, a 6'8", 245-pound right-hander Oral who is ticketed for Double-A, but like Banuelos, in some circles they're saying, hey, this kid's pretty good. Let's think about maybe raising him up a level or two.
This guy has an outstanding big league curveball. I know he'll be a minor leaguer probably to start the season, and these two are on their way to the big stadium, but a little more seasoning, but we are getting to see them, and they're getting exposed to big league competition, the lights, and 12,000 people, and this is part of the growth pattern.
He'll face Marco Scutaro to lead off the bottom of the fifth. The Red Sox shortstop, and drill him right on the elbow with the first pitch.
When the adrenaline pumps through your body, it takes away a little bit of the feeling in your hand, and you can overthrow when you get in these games. Comes out of your hand a little early. Maybe you throw the ball before your front foot lands and you start to explode those hips, and when you do that, the arm gets away from you and the ball goes up and in, and right-handed hitters have a little bit of a tough time getting out of the way when it's coming at them about 95 miles an hour.
And Marco Scutaro was injured so many times last year, Larry, that you don't want to see that in spring training. Luckily, he got that elbow guard in there.
We have with us in the booth now Larry Lucchino, the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, as we move into the bottom of the fifth inning here in Fort Myers. Ryan Kalish is the batter now, left-hand hitting outfielder. Well, Larry, this has to be awfully exciting. I'm sure if you could make it opening day tomorrow, you would. But what happened through the winter, the trade for Gonzalez, the signing of Crawford, your injured players look healthy right now. You've got to be awfully excited about this season.
I think I certainly am, and I know
all of Red Sox Nation is. There's been a real uptick in the level of attention and the optimism. And the camp, of course, has been tranquil so far, and people have been healthy so far. And that's about as much as you can hope for from the first couple of weeks.
I can't imagine your team getting any more attention than it usually gets. There may not be any team in baseball that gets as much attention. Do you often marvel here in Florida, up in Boston, on the road, how many Red Sox fans there are all over the country?
Absolutely, Dan. It is remarkable. You know it because you've heard about it for so long. I was in baseball for a good while before I got to the promised land, which is what Boston really is. And the depth of the fan base and the passion of the fan base is quite remarkable. But I mean, there's a bar around the corner from our place down here that's called the Lansdowne Pub. It's completely decorated in Fenway colors and Fenway pictures, and you feel like you're across the street from the ballpark in Fenway. And here we are in Southwest Florida. That's true all over the country. The Red Sox passion is contagious.
Well, you address so many great issues in the offseason with Gonzalez and Crawford. You even receive a standing ovation when you come into the locker room in spring training from the players, which is absolutely amazing. But what other concerns might you have as you go forward?
Well, the reactions by the players was quite touching, and I think it was because they recognized that John Henry, Tom Werner, our entire ownership group has one thing that's undeniable, and that's the commitment to winning. And when your players can sense that, you can't fake that. And our players, I think, were appreciative of that during this offseason. But there are a lot of questions. I mean, we're going to start a catcher who's doing quite well in spring training, but he is new. We've got Euclid, who hasn't played third base in a while. I could probably list. I'm a pessimist by nature, so
you're not going to make yourself the underdog by no matter how many things you list. Okay,
you probably
you're not going to come down.
No, come on.
Above,
we don't have a lot of power in the outfield. What else?
There we go.
The bullpen's being reassembled. You know, there are a lot of issues. How about a lot of health issues
down there?
A lot of health issues. The players have got to bounce back. So, and you had Cashman in earlier. He probably played the
poor boys.
They're the
poor boys. Yeah.
So we the underdog New York Yankees in the largest market in the Western world.
2-1 the count.
But Larry, with Saltalamacchia behind the plate, I mean, he's got a yard of work this spring. He's got to work with a new league, with a new staff, with a new coaching staff. And how do you feel that's coming?
Well, I've heard very good things. We have a great catching coach in Gary Tuck, and apparently they've become like brothers. They spend much of the winter together, and he's been charting Salty's progress. And I've been told by Theo, Tito, the folks who see him on a regular basis, that Saltalamacchia is having a great spring. I know he's hitting about 300, but he's got to be the defensive anchor for this team, and I think he will be.
Oral, a cross up there between pitcher and catcher?
A little bit of the spring training, especially the young man on the mound getting used to it, and Montero behind the plate. And you see this with youthful batteries. You might even see it with a veteran at this time of year. But so you man on second, you go to different signs. You might go to first sign after two. You might have pumps where it doesn't matter about your fingers, but it matters about the action of your hand. And you just watch. He expected this ball to come down, and it stayed up like a fastball, and it was by him, and it was blew by you, and it was not by the hitter.
I'll tell you, the luckiest man in the ballpark is Jeff Kellogg, the umpire, because that didn't get a piece of him. Down the right field line, but foul. 3-2. The count remains on Pedroia. Second and third. Nobody out. 1-0 Yankees in the bottom of the fifth inning. Larry, there are so many baseball organizations who have so much turnover in the GM department and in the manager department. You guys are almost looking, I don't know if you feel this way. I mean, this duo of Epstein and Francona, this could be like Atlanta Braves of the American League, where you keep this group together for a long, long time.
Well, they certainly have performed at very high levels. They work together well, and stability, continuity is very, very valuable.
Well, we got a base running issue here for the Red Sox as the runner at second, Kalish, took off for third, but the runner at third did not take off for home. So either Kalish made a mistake or Scudero didn't know the contact sign was on. One of the two, Bubby.
I doubt there was contact with no outs, so I think Kalish was just, thinking that ball was up the middle. As the big 6'8" pitcher snags it, he's in no man's land, so they get the easy out at first. Once they do, You see Chavez realizing he's getting another out, runs out the runner. And Kalish just said, oh, darn, that's a mistake. Everybody knows it was spring training, right?
And Montansis on the mound did a great job of not, of noticing the runner was going from second to third, but record the out at first and then record the out between second and third.
Well, Larry's already told us he's a pessimist, so I guess he's added base running to the another thing to worry about right now.
No, actually, I'm quite optimistic about Ryan Kalish, that he is a great young prospect. I was told by the scout who drafted him and signed him that his senior year in high school, he swung and missed twice.
Wow.
The entire senior year.
Daniel Nava's the batter. Larry, can you speak a little bit to what the Red Sox have done to help out the earthquake victims in Japan?
Oh, yes. Well, we have a significant relationship with Japan. Some of our key players, of course, are Japanese, and they were actively involved, have been for a couple of days. Today they were at the gates.
Montansis is all over the place here, and the run's going to score. Another wild pitch.
But Daisuke Matsuzaka and Hideki Okajima were at the gates today, encouraging our fans to make donations as they came into the game today. We're going to continue that when we play the Mets on Thursday. And, well, there you are. You can see them out there receiving donations from our fans. And they are making personal contributions, and the Red Sox Foundation as well is contributing $50,000, and all of the money that will be collected here at the ballpark from our fans, 100% of it will go to the Red Cross and to the victims in Japan.
And from what you know, Okajima and Daisuke, they've been able to find out about their close family members, and everybody's safe, right?
Yes, but their level of concern, as you can imagine, is quite high. Mm-hmm. The commissioner always says that baseball is a social institution with social responsibilities, and we certainly believe that, and I'm glad to see that our players do as well.
Larry, thank you very much for joining us. Have a great season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Larry Lucchino, the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox.
Introducing the bigger, four-door, all-wheel drive Mini Countryman.
Hi, I'm Cheeseburger. This is Buffalo Chicken, and this is Sloppy Joe.
We're brothers.
We all taste great.
Some more than others.
Hot Pocket Side Shots. 3 delicious flavors stuffed into soft baked buns.
Hot Pockets.
Dear PlayStation, I hear there's a new way to play Killzone 3 with the PlayStation Move.
It's called the Sharpshooter, or as I like to call it, Daddy's Little Helper. It's got this rapid-fire trigger, realistic reload feature, and ridiculous accuracy. I'm playing this in 3D like 5-6 hours a day.
At work? How do you get away with that?
Get away with what? Hello? Oh, hi, Mom.
Killzone 3, rated M for mature.
PlayStation.
Look at me. I don't think that my life's going to take some sudden upswing into fame and fortune.
That's on the house. What if one pill could give you everything?
I learned to play the piano in 3 days. I now had cultural appetites.
Since when do you speak Italian?
But this Friday, one person
You have not earned those powers.
can take it all away.
There's no scenario in which you'd lead this life, but you don't work for me. I see 50 scenarios. That's what it does. Puts me 50 moves ahead of you. What would you do?
Limitless, rated PG-13.
Funnest time of year, unless besides the playoffs. You know, the atmosphere's great. Guys are getting ready for a long season. They're building that personality and loyalty that we care so much about. You got the NCAA basketball tournament that everybody loves so much. You know, when you lose a game, you can hang your hat on something somebody did well as opposed to losing the game. It's just a great time of year.
It sure is. If you don't like spring training, you don't like baseball, because whether it's Arizona or Florida, what a great time. What a great privilege for us to be able to come down here, spend some time, enjoy the good weather, see some baseball games, and get ready for the regular season, which is what the players are doing as well, including the big right-hander, Bobby Jenks, ex of the Chicago White Sox, He signed on with the Red Sox knowing he would not be the closer. As Ramiro Pena runs up to bunt, takes up and away, ball one. Good deal for Jenks, 2 years, $12 million. Good money to be a seventh inning guy, but at least at the outset, Bobby, he's saying all the right things. I'm here to do whatever they want me to do. I'm here to help the team win.
Yeah, there'll be days he'll pitch in the eighth. There'll be days he might even pitch in the ninth. And, you know, wins are what it's all about. And I think Bobby's here to do his job whenever he's asked to do it.
Just think about how many times the Red Sox are going to play tie games in the eighth and ninth, even the 10th inning, and they're going to have closers on the mound without having to use Papelbon. They're going to have Bard on the mound as closer ability, Jenks on the mound with closer ability, and that's just going to give them tremendous depth and advantage.
I think more money this year was spent than ever before on setup men. Of course, Soriano for the Yankees got 3 years, $35 million to be the eighth inning guy in front of Mariano Rivera. Joaquin Benoit, who had a great year with Tampa Bay, got a big deal with Detroit. Jenks here. Scott Downs, formerly of Toronto, got a very nice deal with the Angels. Jesse Crain, formerly of the Twins, got a very nice deal with the White Sox. And none of these guys are expected to be closers. In some cases, they're not even expected to be eighth inning guys. A team like Toronto went out and got Frank Francisco and John Roush and Octavio Dotel. And Bobby, it's almost as if managers and general managers, they're trying to shorten that game as much as they can.
Well, shorten it when you have a lead, but also they remember and understand now with all the metrics that you need 30 wins out of your bullpen. You need quality arms out there to get those wins, and now they have them.
A swing and a foul back, still 2-2 on Pena, with Curtis Granderson on deck for the Yankees. Do you remember, Oral, the late 80s when you were at the peak of your game? Do you remember this was the best setup man in baseball? I mean, did guys even have that term designated upon them back then?
You had a right-hander and a left-hander before your closer, but I'm not even sure they were called setup men yet. Not sure when that came into vogue.
Swung on and hit high and deep, but foul down the right field line out of play.
I'll tell you what, instead of a history lesson, though, it's really interesting to talk about how do we evaluate where you spend your money as far as your salary structure. At what point does a reliever that has potential to be a starter go into the rotation, and what time do you leave him there as the reliever is now a more important part than a fourth or fifth starter?
Well, if you have offense, you're always dealing with a bullpen because you know a one swing of the bat, you can come back when you're down by one, get a 2-run lead. Now you have to hold it. Your starter might have not have done the job, but you have to bring people in who could hold the lead for 3 or 4 innings to get a win.
2-2 pitch and a swing and a high fly ball to left center field. Jogging in Kalish, one down. Buster Olney is with Carl Crawford.
Carl, after years of playing against the Red Sox, what's it like for you playing with them?
It's fun. You know, you got a great group of guys in here that love to win, and you know, I'm looking forward to playing with them.
What have you learned about guys like Euclid and Pedroia, Adrian Gonzalez being around them?
I learned that they work just as hard as me to get ready for a game. They just as amped as me, and you know, you need that when you're getting ready to play 162 games.
What will it be like for you to play in Fenway Park in terms of your game?
I think it's going to be fun. You know, it's going to be some interesting times. I'm sure about that. But for the most part, you know, I'm hoping a lot of wins and me getting adjusted to the field and playing my game.
What are the adjustments you're going to have to make playing in the Green Monster?
You know, I'm going to have to come in a little bit more. You know, I'm not going to be as far back as I normally would be. So I'm going to come in and try to take away the base hits and, you know, just notice real quick when it's a ball off the wall and when it's going to be a base hit, you know.
Now, here's the big drama of the day. Before tonight's game, you guys had your NCAA draw, Terry Francona's office. Who did you wind up getting?
Me and Adrian, we partners, so we wound up getting Texas. You know, that's my state, and BYU. So, you know, I like our chances.
What do you think, Dan?
That's pretty good. I mean, they got the Jimmer, so they got the leading scorer in the country, and I think Texas could go a long way. They do have 2 Canadians on them, I must say. 2 Canadians starting for them, I must say.
A long way doesn't do you any good in the pool. You need all the way.
That's true. That's a good point. Let me ask
Ohio State or Duke.
I'll take Ohio State. I'm with you. A bunt single, beautifully done by Granderson up the third baseline. Euclid got it over, but just not in time. The batter now Swisher. Jenks on the mound for the Red Sox. We're in a 1-1 tie in the 6th inning.
I tell you what, that bunt helped Kevin Youkilis more than it helped Curtis Granderson.
But it didn't help him, really. Or when you looked at the way he fielded that ball, it was fielded incorrectly. He knows he has to work on coming through that ball, fielding off the left foot, throwing off balance. He tried to shuffle and make a throw on a very fast runner. It really wasn't that well placed, but it was a bump base hit that can't be allowed during the season.
And that's what I mean. It helped him more than Granderson because he learned a lot about himself and what he needs to work on and what depth he can play and catch a fast runner still and what footwork he's going to have to work on in the next 20 days or so before we get to the opening of the season.
Exactly. The way he shuffled across that ball toward first base is not a functional way of making that play on a fast runner.
Youkilis back at third this year with the acquisition of Adrian Gonzalez to play first base. Granderson leaning, not going. Let me ask you guys about Crawford. We heard in the interview he comes with a great work ethic and great, determination to be the best that he can be. He's a quiet, soft-spoken guy. There is one school of thought that, hey, maybe coming from Tampa Bay, Boston might be a little bit overwhelming for him. That fishbowl that is playing for the Red Sox. Bobby, you managed in New York. Oral, you played in Los Angeles. You also played in New York. Let me start with you, Bobby. Do you think there's anything to Boston maybe not being the ideal environment for Carl Crawford?
Well, it'll be ideal if he plays well. If he doesn't get off to a good start, though, he will hear some people from the crowd. He will understand that it's a tough media market, and he'll understand it rather quickly, I believe.
Runner not going, and the pitch down and away, ball 2. Oral?
Well, the thing that you get is he's dealt with it very well down here, and it is new, and he had his first opening interviews, and he got through those 17 minutes, and people said he was very jovial and very upfront. But where it starts to get you is when there's lack of production and there's disappointment, and then the pressure starts to erode you, and you have to be strong, and that shows your true character when you can start to block out talking about a slump and also then going out and performing and having positive expectations. And that's the battle of a professional athlete, is that you have to talk about this at times and you grind on it and you get it put in your face once, twice a day, before the game and after the game, and in between. You've got to be your positive self and believe you can still do it.
Good count to put something on here. There goes the runner. Pitch taken for a strike, throw down, and they got him. Granderson thrown out by Saltalamacchia.
Yeah, well, that's a make-up play there for Saltalamacchia because he got a fastball down the middle and he slowed everything down. Where he rushed on the first one that was outside, he just took his time. He led with his left knee, as I mentioned earlier. He replaced his left foot with his right foot. He threw a strike to second base. You see that knee goes in. That's what leads it. Then you see the right foot replace the left foot. He comes up, keeps his glove up by his chest protector where it needs to be, and makes a perfect throw to second.
Swisher, a swing and a miss, and just like that, the inning is over. To the bottom of the 6th when we come back. The Yankees and the Red Sox are tied at 1.
Well, everything looks good. We've got your car in stock. Let's just check out your credit score and we'll work out your financing.
All right, sounds good.
Did you know everyone has 3 credit scores? And just one bad score could really hurt you.
Whoa! That's going to be a problem.
What do you mean?
Your credit score could be affected by inaccuracies, outdated information, or even identity theft. Now tracking your score is easy at freescore.com. Unlike other services that only provide one score, freescore.com lets you see all 3 credit scores for free. And that's important because a single bad score could cause you to be denied a loan, pay higher interest rates, and spend more for the things you want. So get all 3 scores for free at freescore.com. Plus, you'll get unlimited access to your complete credit profile, 24/7 credit alerts, and the quickest way to spot inaccuracies at all 3 credit bureaus.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You're welcome.
One place, 3 scores. Get your scores now at freescore.com.
Free score! Freescore.com!
Is that who I think it is?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Are you staging a comeback? Because it feels like you're staging a comeback.
I feel better than ever. Stronger in my legs, my core, my back.
Comeback! Yes!
Got your shape-ups. Get back in the game.
Who's says credit card rewards can't be simple?
I mean, they're rewards, right? Right?
Right.
With the Bank Americard Cash Rewards credit card,
I get 1% cash back on every purchase.
1% cash back on groceries,
Highlights.
frog leg green,
1% cash back on whatever that is.
and there is no limit to the amount of cash back you can earn.
No expiration on rewards.
No hoops to jump through. Simple. I love this card.
Love it.
The refreshingly simple Bank Americard Cash Rewards credit card. Apply online or at a Bank of America near you.
Bottom of the 6th inning here in Fort Myers. Dan Shulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. The Yankees and Red Sox are tied at 1. Kevin Youkilis is going to lead it off. Dellin Betances is back on the mound for the Yankees, his 2nd inning of work. Youkilis has walked and struck out so far tonight. Boston sports fans, for the best information on the Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, and more, visit ESPNBoston.com. News, opinion, and a special sports center just for you. ESPNBoston.com. And we welcome now the Big Kahuna from ESPNBoston.com, which is the the title he told me he had a little bit
Big
before.
Kahuna.
I said, what's your title? Are you this? Are you that? He goes, I'm the Big Kahuna.
See, that's what you're able to call yourself, Oral, when you can say that you covered you as a player 20-some-odd years ago.
That would be the old Kahuna, not the Big Kahuna.
Foul back 1 and 2. Gordon Eads of ESPNBoston.com is with us. In your mind, Gordon, what's been the big story for the Red Sox over the last 3 weeks or so?
Well, I think, of course, it's the fact that Adrian Gonzalez debuted Saturday. You know, that was the one question. Would this guy be ready for
the 6th inning here in Fort Myers? Dan Shulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. The Yankees and Red Sox are tied at 1. Kevin Youkilis is going to lead it off. Dellin Betances is back on the mound for the Yankees, his 2nd inning of work. Youkilis has walked and struck out so far tonight. Boston sports fans, for the best information on the Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, and more, visit ESPNBoston.com. News, opinion, and a special sports center just for you. ESPNBoston.com. And we welcome now the Big Kahuna from ESPNBoston.com, which is the title he told me he had a little bit before.
Kahuna.
I said, what's your title? Are you this? Are you that? He goes, I'm the Big Kahuna.
See, that's what you're able to call yourself, Oral, when you can say that you covered you as a player 20-some-odd years ago.
That would be the old Kahuna, not the Big Kahuna.
Foul back 1 and 2. Gordon Eads of ESPNBoston.com is with us. In your mind, Gordon, what's been the big story for the Red Sox over the last 3 weeks or so?
Well, I think, of course, it's the fact that Adrian Gonzalez debuted Saturday. You know, that was the one question. Would this guy be ready for the beginning of the season? He said from day one he would be, and he's actually a week ahead of schedule. I mean, he told me back in December that if he was playing by March 20th, he would be ready for opening day. And I mean, he beat that by what, 9 days or so. And the one thing we haven't seen from him, fellas, and we won't see, is he's not diving for any ground balls. You know, he wants to protect the shoulder.
Yep. Bobby talking about that a little bit earlier. I would assume, with the little that we've gotten to know him, we can see what character he has as too. I assume he has been accepted into that clubhouse as if he were a 10-year veteran of the Red Sox.
You know, I heard you fellas talking about how Carl Crawford would deal with the pressures of Boston. There are no apprehensions whatsoever with this guy. I mean, he is so grounded. He's so solid. He's just a matter of fact. He's very candid in his answers when you interview him. He's very much a team guy. And, I mean, how many guys do you know, fellas, who would, with Albert Pujols out there, hasn't signed an extension, entering his free agent year, and here's Gonzalez saying, you know what, fellas, that's not going to impact my negotiations for a contract extension. You know, they have an understanding what they're going to sign him for. It's probably right after opening day. And there's a base hit.
And a soft line over to right field, a base hit for Gonzalez.
Well, if you've been around the clubhouse and investigated and watched him interact, is he going to help this next guy coming to the plate here, Big Papi, at all?
Yeah, and you know, I can't conceive, guys, of this being the lineup once the regular season starts. for Gonzalez to bat as low as 5th and then to be followed by another guy who's going to clog up the bases like Ortiz, that doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. Tito even acknowledged that that may not be the case. At some place in that lineup, they're going to have back-to-back left-handed hitters.
Pinch runners at first and second right now for the Red Sox as they try to break the 1-1 tie here in the bottom of the 6th.
Gonzalez is rather neutral, though, wouldn't you say? I mean, he hits left-handers as well as right-handers, and especially with that left field wall there. Any left-handers who can't get in on him and leave the ball out over the plate, he's going to have a field day.
Yeah, and the thing is, Bobby, I mean, that's the book on him, is to pound him inside, and yet his swing is such that he can still go the other way. And I mean, almost from the first day of camp, he and Ortiz were talking about the beauty of being big, strong left-handed hitters being able to monopolize that wall.
We're with Gordon Eads, writer for ESPNBoston.com, sizing up the Red Sox for the 2011 season. First and second, nobody out. Ortiz the batter in a 1-1 count. Ortiz with a base hit and a pop-up so far tonight. Another story that's come up here in spring, Gordon, and you broke the story, was about the Red Sox perhaps looking around to try to move Daisuke Matsuzaka, who's in the last year of his deal, no trade clause, struggling in the spring, struggled last year. What is the latest right now on his status?
You know, I think it's a situation, Dan, that the fact that he doesn't have or he does have the no trade clause, and he's not pitching very well. I mean, teams aren't exactly falling all over each other to take a run at this guy. There's certain scenarios that I could see being very attractive to him, particularly if a team on the West Coast wanted him. But, you know, I think the Red Sox at this point would listen to any offers. I mean, he's far from an untouchable. But in terms of starting pitching depth, I mean, they have alternatives in Wakefield and Aceves, who we watched tonight. Felix Doubront, the young lefty who had a sore elbow in camp and has been shut down a little bit.
But you've been confronted that this is fiction.
And you know, yeah, and you know, if there's one person who should know anything about fiction, it is Theo Epstein. His father Leslie teaches creative writing at Boston University.
That's a little backhanded.
That's great stuff.
And wrote a great novel called King of the Jews, a tremendous book. So, you know, and I take it seriously when Theo says it's fiction. And guys, you know, we know we're at that stage of spring training, middle of March, where scouts are doing a lot of talk. There's a lot of conversation. I did not intend my story to suggest that the Red Sox were out there trying to peddle off all these guys. But of course they're going to listen on any of these guys, including a Mike Cameron, who looks great this spring and healthy. And I mean, I know he's 38, but you tell me that a team in need of an outfielder wouldn't come inquiring about him?
Yes, I agree. Much more so with a Cameron, Gordon, but you know, you never have enough of pitching, and the Red Sox don't have enough of pitching even with Daisuke. They need to have a much deeper line of starting pitchers. You have to go 8 or 9, and I don't see that in this spring training right here with their young players and with their veterans that they have. Well, I mean, you have a guy who pitched 12 innings being considered as a starting pitcher. He pitched 12 innings last year in Aceves.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's certainly question marks about the other guys that we're identifying as depth. You know, Wakefield because of his age.
I reckon.
Doubront because of experience. You know, so there, you know, there is some merit to that, and that's why it probably makes it that much more unlikely that they would move Dice. One thing that struck me, Bobby, I went back and looked at a conversation you and I had in Japan when the Red Sox were there in 08, when Daisuke was, by our standards, coming off a good year, and you said even at that time you didn't think he had pitched as well as he had when you saw him in Japan.
Yeah, I always thought that he changed when he got here, that he tried to Americanize himself. He tried to become a fastball slider pitcher. He forgot about his off-speed stuff. He couldn't pitch backward in the count. He always have to pound the hard stuff when he's ahead, and that's not what he did to get the contract, to get here. And I've always been baffled why he would change, or he was made to change, or the combination of the two.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of things he had to deal with in making that transition. Even the ball, and the size of the ball, and the fact that over there he pitched every 6th day instead of once every 5 days here. The latest tweak, I don't know if you fellas saw this, is you know, Daisuke has always long tossed and had a side session on the same day. Now they're going to split those up.
again. I don't get it.
Well, to switch gears a little bit, you know, another question mark in the rotation having a tough spring is Josh Beckett. What do you know about Josh Beckett and how he comes along?
You know, to me, Oral, I'm a little bit more optimistic about him than you suggest right now. I mean, he pitched yesterday, and the big thing with him is to get through the spring healthy. You know, the back issues, missing 58 games like he did last year. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I mean, he had a brutal year last year, and now, you know, working with the new pitching coach, Kurt Young, who we see here in the dugout, you know, Beckett was very close to John Farrell. There's no question. But I think that he's in a situation where Lester has established himself as a horse in this staff. You know, Buchholz having the year that he had, second best ERA in the American League. You don't need Josh Beckett to be the pitcher he was in 2007, winning 20 games, but you need him to be a consistent innings eater, 15-win guy, and I think he's perfectly capable of that.
And Lackey right on his heels, and then maybe Dice K showing a shadow of himself, at least eating innings.
Yeah, I think with Lackey, I think the fact that the Red Sox are going to have better defense, particularly outfield defense, is going to make a huge difference.
Why wouldn't that help Dice K?
Well, it would.
It seems like those other two guys are getting passes to me, to tell you the truth. And I don't want to be a Japanese apologist here or anything, but it seems like Lackey came in with all these great expectations. He did very little to meet the expectation, and he got a free pass. Burkett has a heck of a contract that he's supposed to be fulfilling up there, and he was 6-6 with a 5.78.
Yeah,
I mean, what are we dealing with here that we're going to now shop a guy who pitched your 7th game of World Series for you, won 19 games a year, 18 another.
Yeah, but two bad years in a row, Bobby, and health issues in both of those years. And, I mean, I think the mileage that he's had on his shoulder now, I mean, you're not going to see the fastball that you saw in Cebu when he was in Cebu.
All the more reason he should be throwing the off-speed pitches when he's behind in the count, because they're quality. Well, or they used to be.
Well, what does he say, Gordon? I mean, I guess because of the language barrier to a certain extent, we don't hear much from Daisuke about what he thinks he needs to do to get back on the right track. What does he say?
Yeah, you know, so much of it gets lost in translation, Dan. It really does. And I mean, what we hear is usually just the most banal cliches. And I mean, you look at him physically, he's sculpted a lot better than he was, say, a couple of years ago. You know, I talked to a scout the other day, and this kind of falls in line with what you're saying, Bobby, is that he's got to pitch backwards again. You know, and
that's not
right up his alley.
That's not a problem. You know, there are people who are in the Hall of Fame who've pitched backwards. Why he hasn't been allowed to, I'll never figure out. It's like one of those, well, he's Japanese, so he has to pitch backwards. I don't get it, personally.
I think it goes beyond that. I think the command issues that he's had have been profound. You know, he's constantly pitching behind in the count.
Because he throws too many hard pitches, Gordon. Those aren't his strike pitches, and they're not the swinging strike pitches.
Well, to switch to a positive, talk about the excitement that's going around the nation with Carl Crawford in left field.
Oh, I mean, it's tremendous. And you know, the one, you know, it's funny, guys. I don't know if you saw him, but Carl Crawford brought his little boy into the clubhouse today.
He was out during infield practice.
Talk about a dead ringer. Huh? I mean, did he look like a little Carl or what?
He's a little Carl. He's Carl Jr.
But I mean, when? Oh, touche.
Sorry, how long
was that a setup or what? Yeah. But I mean, clearly, when have the Red Sox ever had a team boasting the kind of speed that this club has at the top of the order with Ellsbury and Crawford, and Pedroia got in the middle of it today with the stolen bag as well.
Bases loaded, one out, sharply hit ground ball, spirited second, throw to the bag for one, back to first. There won't be a throw, and a fielder's choice RBI. Saltalamacchia with the RBI. Pinch runner Yameko Navarro comes in to score the go-ahead run for the Red Sox.
This is a great play. Fielding this ball and throwing it to second base. It's fielded on the outside part of the bag by the shortstop, but a very hard, determined slide gets him up, and there's no handle on that ball as he tries to throw it to first.
That was Linares, Juan Carlos Linares, who's come on as a pinch runner, as both teams are getting into their benches right now, into the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s here in the late innings. Scudero is still in there. This is Luis Ayala, by the way, on the mound for the New York Yankees right now.
Well, we have 2 outs, Gordon, but anything with Scutero, he's at the plate. He's got on the camera with us. You got a story on him?
I got a Bobby V story. Marco says to me, I got a funny story for you. Day gets called up from the minor leagues from Norfolk. He goes to Cincinnati, walks into the hotel coffee shop.
I was having
sees
breakfast.
that his manager, Bobby Valentine, is having breakfast a couple of stools down. He says, geez, should I say anything to him or not? He said, well, if I don't say anything to him, Bobby will probably ask me, why didn't you? So he says, hello, Bobby, I'm Marco Scutero. And Bobby Valentine says, hey, kid, how you doing? Do you live here in Cincinnati? You go to school here in Cincinnati? And
what are you doing in town?
Yeah, what do you... I mean, he did everything but offer Scutero his autograph. And Marco goes, Bobby, I'm Scutero. I'm your new player.
And he started that night, got the game-winning hit.
Yeah.
So go, figure it out.
You were just doing it to like a player. It doesn't take him long to like a player.
You got
right in there, got him a hit.
Yeah?
Exactly.
Do you remember this?
Absolutely.
And you don't deny it?
Oh, no, we broadcasted it on the bus, and it actually happened. You know, he wasn't in spring training with us. He was traded during the season. He came up. He said, hey, I'm Marco Scutero. I said, oh, that's great.
Bouncer to short. Inning over. Gordon, thanks very much. We'll see you during the season.
Okay, guys.
Gordon Eads of ESPNBoston.com. Andrew Marchand of ESPNNewYork.com next inning to get us updated on the Yankees.
You're at the age where you don't get thrown by curveballs. This is the age of knowing how to get things done. So, why would you let something like erectile dysfunction get in your way? Isn't it time you talk to your doctor about Viagra? 20 million men already have. With every age comes responsibility. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects may include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. This is the age of taking action. Viagra. Talk to your doctor. See if America's most prescribed ED treatment is right for you.
Across the country, when the economy tumbled, J.P. Morgan Chase set up new offices to work one-on-one with homeowners. Since 2009, we've helped over 250,000 Americans keep their homes. And we're reaching out to small businesses, too, lending them more than $10 billion last year. We're also giving businesses the opportunity to ask for a second review if they feel their loan should have been approved. This is how recoveries happen. Everyone doing their part. This is the way forward.
Major League Baseball recognizes fans who go to bat against breast cancer. Do you know a supporter or survivor? Visit honorarybatgirl.com and share your story. Winners will be recognized on field on Mother's Day. Visit honorarybatgirl.com today. 2-1, the Red Sox lead the Yankees as we go to the top of the 7th inning on a beautiful night here in Fort Myers, Florida, with Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. I'm Dan Shulman bringing you spring training baseball tonight here on ESPN2. And among the changes, and there are many of them this inning for the Red Sox, but here's a familiar face. Left-hander, veteran left-hander Hideki Okajima coming into the game for Boston. Didn't have quite the season last year. As, the hitters started to get to him a little bit more. Eric Chavez is the batter to begin the inning. More on Okajima in a moment, but first, Adrian Gonzalez is with Buster Olney.
Adrian, you had surgery in the fall on your shoulder. How's that feeling?
It's feeling good. Things are coming along well. Second game out, and it's felt pretty good. So, you know, it's responding pretty good so far. So I'm happy about that.
What's this spring like been for you, playing with the Red Sox for the first time?
Oh, it's great. The atmosphere, the environment is great. Teammates are really good, and you know, just really enjoying my time out here.
When you talk to scouts, they talk about a perfect matchup of Adrian Gonzalez hitting in Fenway Park. How much are you looking forward to that?
I'm looking forward to see how much of it is true. You know, it's one of those things that you don't know what's going to happen until you play the season out, and hopefully I'll hit plenty of balls to the left side out there where they go off the wall or hopefully over the wall.
Now, you're eligible for free agency in the fall. There were some contract talks at the time the Red Sox traded for you. Where do those stand right now?
Basically where we left off. You know, we don't have anything. We haven't talked about anything. Haven't sat down this spring. You know, I'm waiting for me to be healthy. So the fact that I'm playing is a good sign, you know, as far as going forward with something like that. But you know, until I'm 100%, I don't expect anything to start up again.
You and Carl Crawford teamed up in the NCAA pool. You got BYU and Texas. What do you think your chances are?
They're good. I wanted San Diego State. They're my team, and I'm rooting for them. But you know, I took the team that beat them twice. So CC's team was Texas. So we got together and took a Mountain West team, and he took his team in Texas. So hopefully we'll win that pool.
Well, good luck. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
Buster, thank you very much. Well, I think as excited as Gonzalez is to be a member of the Red Sox fans are even more excited to have him on board and see him swing the bat at Fenway Park on a regular basis. What an addition he figures to be, going again from a tough pitcher's park in a lineup without a lot of power. Now he's got protection top to bottom, hitting at Fenway Park. It figures to be a big year for Gonzalez. Here's Okajima. And you saw earlier the video that we showed you, and we talked about it while Larry Lucchino is in the booth with us, of Okajima and Daisuke Matsuzaka, Bobby, going out to the gate before the game tonight as fans were coming in and helping to raise some money, all of which is going to be sent to help the earthquake victims in Japan. Can we here in America understand what Daisuke, what Okajima, what Matsui, any of the great Japanese, Ichiro, of course, what those players mean over in Japan, what the sport means over in Japan?
I'm not sure if we could understand that.
There's a base hit up the middle.
In that it is the national sport of a country of 120 million people, and you know, grandmothers keep box scores, and young kids play in the park all the time, and these are the guys who came across the pond and play at the major league level, so they are really looked up to. And when those photographs are in the newspaper, it's not the dollars that are going to bring the relief. It's going to be the heartfelt effort that they and the American public are given to these devastated victims. And you know, hopefully every little bit's going to help, and hopefully and eventually they'll get back on their feet.
I saw today, I don't know if you guys saw this, that they updated or revised the severity of the earthquake from an 8.9 to a 9, which doesn't sound like much, but the earthquake scale is not, forgive me for being a math guy, it's not linear, it's exponential. Exactly. Yeah. So an 8.9 to a 9 doubles it. I mean, the devastation is just unbelievable, the worst by far in Japan's history. And again, you know, so many of the major leaguers obviously with family and friends in the affected areas, and Takashi Saito I think was particularly affected because of the area in which he lives, and they're still struggling to find out if all their friends and loved ones are safe.
And Reuters has estimated the damage at $180 billion. We just can't even imagine when we see the photographs and what these guys are going through, how he's out there working to get ready for a big league season, to be the bona fide left-hander in this rotation, and what you have to do psychologically to put that in a shoebox, open the closet door and put it away for a few hours just so you can concentrate on the game. But he has to get it right back out and concentrate on friends and family at home and the concerns there right after this game.
1-1 to Ronnie Belliard in for a strike.
And of course, I was in Japan during Katrina, and there were many Japanese who reached out with their hearts, with their love, and with their wherewithal to try to help those victims, as well as during 9/11. I think Japan has been a true ally since World War II to the United States, and in more ways than one. And the baseball field is really where we come together, because this sport is loved so much in that country, and these players are respected so much in that country that, you know, every little bit helps. And hopefully, I just heard from George Rose, a good friend of Brian Cashman, who has a international charity fund, All Hands it's called, and we're going to see if we can't team up and do something special.
2-1, the Red Sox lead the Yankees, top of the 7th. Go to first, and the runner Nunez back in easily.
It's amazing around the world as we have the talent all comes here on the big league field that other cultures are not jealous of the great talent that assembles here, but just so much respected, and it's their role model wherever they live and wherever they are. Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Japan, Korea, Australia, everywhere.
Exactly, and this is the place.
A little pop-up for the first baseman. That Spears into the game now, who makes the catch for the second out. Is it to the point, Bobby, where Japanese fans are, I mean, how many Major League games are on television in Japan? Are they tape delayed so you can watch them in the evening? Are people up at 3 in the morning trying to see their favorite player?
No, actually, there's 6 in the morning, a lot of the games, and 9 in the morning. 7 o'clock East Coast here is 9 o'clock there, and 7 o'clock evening is 9 o'clock in the morning there. So they're watching it in the morning and really building another generation of fans where those young kids can watch baseball with their moms early in the morning.
Or cut school.
Oh, or cut school if they're a little older.
Got to do what you got to do. 0-1 the count on Jorge Vasquez.
But just the final note on that situation is 2 of the baseball fields. One in Sendai is a Major League Baseball field in the Japanese Professional League. That was affected by the earthquake, of course. And the stadium that I played on is right on the shore.
Lined into right center. That's a base hit for Vasquez. Nunez will make the turn and make it easily into third.
And that stadium in Chiba was built on landfill. And the waters rose and eroded. And now it seems that stadium's sinking into the Tokyo Bay. So there might be 2 stadiums out of the 8 that they play in that they're not going to be able to use this year, which could be devastating for the baseball league.
Didn't you say something about an earthquake? What was it, back in '95?
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
they rebuilt the stadium so quickly.
The earthquake in '95 was on January 17th, 1995. I landed in Tokyo Narita Airport that day to manage the team that I was going to manage in 1995. That was the stadium that Ichiro was playing in, and they played on opening day in Kobe.
Shallow right and caught. Linares coming on to make the catch to end the inning and strand a couple of runners. 7th inning stretch in Fort Myers. Red Sox 2, Yankees 1.
Breaking ball. Hit in the air. To deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone.
With DirecTV, your favorite team is never far away, even if you are. Because no distance is too great between you and your team. With MLB Extra Innings on DirecTV. Every team, every player, no matter where you live, it's the most baseball in HD.
From A-Rod.
Make every game a home game with MLB Extra Innings on DirecTV. Order today.
Big Deal is on a mission for Priceline, uncovering hotel freebies like instant discounts, free nights, and free breakfasts at hotels in virtually every city. So thanks to this large man in a little jetpack, you can search thousands of hotel freebies right now only at Priceline.
Here's a myth. You get nothing for driving safely. Truth? At Allstate, you get a check in the mail twice a year, every year. You don't have an accident. The Safe Driving Bonus Check. Dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you like Allstate.
This isn't Flag Day. This is ridiculously huge Flag Day. It's more presidential than President's Day. On baseball's biggest stage, this is the anniversary no one ever forgets.
Opening day, March 31st on ESPN. Telecast presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
How can Expedia save me even more in my hotel? By giving me huge discounts on rooms hotels can't always fill with unpublished rates, which means I get an even more rockin' hotel for less. Where you book matters. Expedia.
Provocative. Unexpected. Defiant. And just what you need to forge your own path. Introducing the most fuel-efficient luxury car available. The radically new 42-mile-per-gallon CT Hybrid from Lexus.
MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Watch over 100 live out-of-market games per week online and on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Bottom 7 here in Fort Myers. Red Sox 2, Yankees 1 at City of Palms Park. Luis Ayala remains on the game on the mound for the Yankees. Ryan Kalish will lead it off for the Red Sox. Drew Sutton has come out in the on-deck circle in Dustin Pedroia's spot as Kalish pops up the first pitch. Should be playable in foul territory, and it is for out number 1. New York sports fans, you can now get the latest news on the teams you care about the most. News, opinions, and a special sports center just for you. The inside info you're accustomed to. Now with local flavor, it's ESPNNewYork.com. Featuring senior writer Andrew Marchand, who dresses up much more than Gordon Eads does.
He
but
didn't
also,
get the free shirt.
No, he didn't get, and he doesn't have the title. Gordon Eads, I don't know if you know this, Andrew, is the big kahuna of ESPNBoston.com.
And you're the senior writer.
Yes, I'm very
nice.
Very aware. We dress a little bit nicer in New York than Boston.
All right.
I like your
can
title
see that.
better, too.
Spring training, man. Come on, golf shirt it.
Well, I had it on, but I put it on for you, and I knew Bobby V was here, so you have to dress up for Bobby V. You never know what he's going to wear.
Keep it up. That's great, Andrew.
We were getting Bobby V just to tuck his shirt in.
Andrew, the word that the Boston folk, a couple of folks have used with us tonight about spring training has been tranquil. Would you use that word for Yankee spring training as well?
Yeah, for the Yankees, it has been. We had the little, brush up with Hank Steinbrenner where he made the comments that alluded to Derek Jeter. But besides that, Alex Rodriguez has been a pretty quiet spring for him since the Super Bowl and when he was eating some popcorn. But overall, a quiet spring for the Yankees.
An error there on Ayala. How would you characterize the relationship now between Jeter and the club?
It's strained a little bit. I mean, you look at what happened this offseason, and there was some bad blood because of what they said about Derek Jeter. They questioned him. I mean, it's been put a little bit to the side because Joe Girardi wasn't involved with that, and he's the one who will really manage Derek Jeter. But I do think that, with what Hal Steinbrenner said, with what Brian Cashman said, what President Randy Levine said, Jeter was mad. He said so at the press conference. Going forward, I mean, Jeter's going to be a big focus as he turns 37 before the All-Star break.
You don't think he's going to have him down to his new house for dinner? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are some things where Derek's not. He's building that 30,000-foot mansion, which is slightly smaller than Bobby's house in Stanford. But but I do think that they're gonna. There is a little bit of a strain there that maybe long term could show up again. But right now, you know what? Derek's gonna be focused on the field, and as he handles everything, he's handled it correctly into spring, and he's focused on his new batting stance and trying to get that 270 average back to over 300 where it usually is.
Is it that difference? Has he made that many adjustments to the stance?
Yeah, it's a smaller stride, and it's designed by hitting coach Kevin Long, so he can see the ball a little bit longer. And it's hard to tell, in spring training, but he is above 300 so far. And they're trying to get a little more lift on the ball because he really last year had a lot of trouble with that, grounding out to second and into a lot of double plays.
Andrew Marchand of ESPNNewYork.com with us. Momentarily, we're going to take you down to the field. I think Buster's got another interview guest standing by. Are we ready to go down there, Buster? Only
Ready
with
to
Curtis
go. I'm
Granderson.
here with Curtis Granderson. And Curtis, this is your second year with the Yankees. You were the newcomer last spring. How different does it feel this spring to you?
I think the big thing across the board is that first day of school mentality was last year. And this year, instead of wondering what guys are like, I know exactly how all the guys are like. So it just makes things that much more comfortable going the second time around.
Now, Kevin Long, the Yankees hitting coach, told you during the offseason, don't change a thing with your swing. How much carryover has there been since you finished strongly last year?
The good thing, the work that we do in the cage before we step on the field with Kevin Long and myself was very simple to pick up. Very simple tee stuff, little soft front toss, and then we go ahead and take those drills on to this spring training. So it was really easy to pick that stuff up. We still got to go ahead and try to pick up for 4 months of not swinging the bat and facing some live pitching. But that's all going to come with, and that's the reason why we got the spring training games.
Now you always travel in the off-season. Where'd you go this off-season?
This year I was able to put a stamp in the passport from New Zealand. Great, beautiful place. Unfortunately, had the earthquake there after I got back. But a lot of the people that I ended up meeting there that were trying to promote the game of baseball, getting introduced to the game of baseball, we're all safe, fine. Family's good. Only disappointing thing, Boston ended up drafting one of the kids that I was over there looking at. So unfortunately, the Yankees, we didn't do our work when we were over there. So I promoted, and the Boston Red Sox ended up stealing one of the guys.
Well, your address in the summertime, center field for the Yankees, Curtis. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Buster, thank you. Base hit into left field for Yamaiko Navarro. Runners at first and second. 2 down. here in the 7th inning. Curtis Granderson, we saw the numbers that he put up there, Andrew. He really got the power stroke going in the last couple of months. Is the expectation that he'll have a bigger year this year than he did last year?
You would think so, and he's really carried it over here in the spring training. He has 4 homers already, and it really was amazing what we saw last year. Middle of the year, actually in July of the year, Kevin Long, the hitting coach, just changed his swing up, and he was a different player, hitting left-handed pitching for the first time, and he's carried that over into spring thus far.
Nate Spears is the batter. 2 on, 2 out, 2-1 Red Sox, bottom of the 7th.
Moving CC Sabathia and Phil Hughes off to the side. Talk about the 3-hole with A.J. Burnett and then 4 and 5 in that competition.
Yeah, A.J.'s looked okay thus far, but you know with A.J. Oral, it's more his head than his arm. And, you know, thus far he's looked good, but we're only in spring training. The other day, you know, it might have been an encouraging sign. He gave up a home run, came out, retired the next 9 guys. He didn't let it, he said, you know, he didn't care, which is what he thought was a good thing. So then, you know, if he can carry that out, it's a lot different down here in Florida than it is in the Bronx. But, you know, they need him to be a real number 2 because they didn't get Cliff Lee. You look at the 4 and 5 spot, they love Ivan Nova. You talk to any Yankee official, they think he can be a real starter. So he likely is the favorite to be the number 4 starter. Number 5, Freddie Garcia is the favorite to be that number 5 guy, but he had the bad outing the other day. Bartolo Colon has pitched well. You look at Colon's resume. I heard you talk with Brian Cashman about that. You look at Colon's resume. He came in about 25 pounds overweight. He didn't pitch last year. Garcia won 12 games last year. And so you look at it, I say Garcia has the inside track, but he can lose the job if Colon outpitches him the rest of the way.
That's also a lot about how can you keep the depth, you know, who has the options, where do we do with the veteran, can we put the veteran in the bullpen, kind of protect Colon as he gets in shape, but we see the arm coming to life.
Well, that's the one thing that with Nova. Nova is the only guy who has the option, so they could put him at AAA, and then you're right, keep the depth, but Joe Girardi said that will not be a factor.
Andrew, thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you during the season.
Thanks for having me.
Andrew Marchand, a senior writer at ESPNNewYork.com. We'll be back to Fort Myers after this.
Through our H&R Block Second Look review, we find money others miss. What will we find? You. Come in for a free second look review of your taxes, even if you've already done them with someone else. Call 1-800-HR-BLOCK and never settle for less.
Homefront, rated M for mature.
Play the Suburb Map, only on Xbox 360.
Every day, our brave troops and their families stand up for us.
For years, we've asked so much of so few.
Now we have a chance to serve these heroes.
To give time, offer comfort, or lend a hand.
To ease the burden on a military family.
Let's honor their service by volunteering ours.
I'm Carl Ravitch, Aaron Boone and I on Baseball Tonight right after the game. The latest on Jake Peavy. We'll also get into Adrian Beltre's return for Texas.
And Neftali Felice pitched again today. Big day in.
Andrew Bailey's hurt as well, and Dan Shulman's a college hoop guy. You're going to give us your Sweet 16 from baseball. Try doing that with your guys back in the booth, Dan.
That's a tough task, Carl. Booney. That would be tough. They want our Carl and Aaron back in the studio, guys. They want a Sweet 16 from baseball. They want to go Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, and right down to the champion. You ready to do that at this point of the season?
No.
No.
There's no point of us like going out of our way to make fools of ourselves. I mean, we can do it. We can do it without trying.
Well, they don't even think we can fill a whole game yet. We have had so many guests. It's spring training for us. We have to build the material.
2-1 Red Sox leading the Yankees. We go to the 8th inning. That's tough news for the Oakland A's if that Andrew Bailey injury is serious. Buster, what do you know?
Well, Dan, he winced when he threw the pitch, immediately grabbed his arm, came off. He wasn't moving his arm. And after the game, he told reporters that he had immediate discomfort in his elbow and in his forearm. And, of course, you're talking about a pitcher who's had past elbow problems. Now, Oakland during the offseason did sign Brian Fuentes, so they do have a backup plan at closer. But losing Andrew Bailey would be devastating for Oakland because the view of them among scouts, their pitching is going to carry them as far as they go.
Yeah, it's definitely a trendy team, dark horse team, whatever you want to say. I mean, they've added some offense. They had great pitching last year, had the best rotation ERA in the American League, and a lot of people thinking, Bobby, that Oakland could challenge the Texas Rangers in the American League West.
I think that's a really good ballpark to pitch in, as we all know, and one of the tough things to do in baseball is to have an entire young staff make the second step and the third step all together. I don't know that it's ever happened. People point to Atlanta, but that's not true.
Strike three called. What do we think of Rich Hill dropping down Orl and throwing from the side?
He looks very smooth and looks like he's commanding the strike zone at least a lot better than he did from over the top, trying to remake him psychologically and remake him physically with the mechanics change. And you see he strides a little bit now towards first base and comes around with that low, it's not a submarine action, but definitely a sidearm action. But that breaking ball right there, it has great action. And it has some depth, which I like. See that finish where the ball is finishing down, even though it was thrown sidearm. That little bit of depth right there will help you when the ball's over the plate.
Now Ramiro Pena with a fly ball to center field. Kalish is there, 2 down. That Hill in a battle for a spot. We talked about Dennis Reyes a little bit earlier. Could come down to Reyes and Hill for the job of the second lefty.
Well, it definitely could, and especially the left-handed effectiveness, how you get left-handers out. And if he can drop down and show that he can command that breaking ball, that's going to help him in the evaluation. And when it comes down to it, Okajima is really good against righties, even though he's left-handed because of his changeup. But I think you're going to see Jenks and Bard, even if it's a left-hander out there, when they're going to try to blow him away with the fastballs and the breaking balls.
There's a fastball in for a strike.
When you're throwing above 95 miles an hour, I don't care what it is, Kurt Young is probably going to want the guy 95 to 100 miles an hour out there no matter what hand he throws with.
Boy, you could see how he could be effective, though, just against a lefty or two with his angle and the way he's falling off to the first base side of the mound.
I couldn't agree more. I think he could be very effective and effective against right-handers when he throws that breaking ball. I don't think there's enough on the fastball right now to be real functional against right-handers.
Playable, shy of the track, and the inning is over as Hill gets the Yankees in order. To the bottom of the 8th, 2-1 Red Sox.
Years ago, he wasn't worried about retirement. He'd yet to hear of mutual funds, IRAs, or annuities. Back then, he had something more important to do. He wasn't focused on his future. But fortunately, somebody else was. At USAA, we provide retirement solutions for our military, veterans, and their families. From investments to life insurance to healthcare options. Learn more with our free USAA retirement guide. Call 877-242-USAA.
Now at Sonic, there's premium beef hot dogs like the Chicago dog,
the New York dog, the All-American dog,
and the chili cheese coney from my home.
Russia?
Coney Island.
Hot dogs made with 100% pure beef. Now at Sonic.
They lead across frozen rivers, from island to island, to build hope and carry on the ideals of a nation. Officers in the U.S. Army can rise to any challenge. They bring out the best in others and themselves. Can you? Start leading at GoArmy.com/officer. There's strong, and then there's Army strong.
Some have said that deep within the blackest seas exists a beast named the Kraken. Those people, of course.
Oh dear.
Have never been seen again. The Kraken Black Spiced Rum.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Back in Fort Myers, Dan Shulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, the Yankees and the Red Sox, with the Red Sox leading 2-1. The Red Sox and the Braves Wednesday afternoon at 1 on ESPN as our spring training coverage continues. Romulo Sanchez comes into the game now for the Yankees, who have changed him up all over the place. Yankees making the 2-hour trip down from Tampa to Fort Myers. Some veterans in early, most of them out of the game right now. As you can see, the numbers at AAA for Sanchez.
And with Sanchez on the mound, it makes you think about who will be out there in the regular 8th inning in the regular season, and you think about Jabba Chamberlain and his journeys from starter to reliever and now back in the pen. The signing of Rafael Soriano by the Yankees, and Mo Rivera made his first appearance in spring training and did it in his typical fashion, striking out all 3 batters he faced.
He's
on
amazing.
His own schedule, in his own age group.
Not bad for a 41-year-old.
Oldest Yankee.
Re-signed to a 2-year deal by the Yankees in the offseason. They bring in Rafael Soriano to be the setup man. So Jabba Chamberlain, as Josh Reddick leads it off. Jabba Chamberlain might wind up, Bobby and Oral, is 7th inning, maybe even a 6th inning guy if David Robertson is ahead of him.
Actually, I think they're hoping for Soriano to fill that 8th role, obviously, and then have Jabba as a 7th inning guy with Feliciano, who they picked up, who could pitch every day, and Robertson, who's come along so well, be that bridge from 5 to 7 to Jabba. And if that works out, I mean, it's a drop-dead bullpen guy. Talking about shortening the game, it'd be terrific. And talking to Larry Rothschild, that would be their A plan. And obviously, that A plan can't work 5 days in a row. But if it could work a few days when everyone's rested and ready to go, it would be devastating.
Ball and 2 strikes. The count on Josh Reddick. And he'll take down an in 2 and 2 Buster with more.
Yeah, Jabba Chamberlain was actually supposed to pitch tonight, but he felt some discomfort in his oblique. They're going to give it a couple days and see how he feels, and then they'll evaluate him again. And you mentioned Rivera. Ho-hum is the perfect word, guys. I talked to him on the first day of spring training, and I asked him how much throwing he did, and he burst out laughing. Really doesn't start that until spring training starts. He gets into the game yesterday, as you mentioned, struck out all 3 hitters and worked both sides of the plate.
Buster, was the story true that Mariano Rivera does not even have a pair of gray pants hanging in his locker during the spring because he just doesn't do road trips at this point of his career?
I didn't hear that story specifically, but what's interesting about him is he does a lot of aerobic activity in the offseason, and every spring, the first day of spring, when the pitchers do their running, he runs everybody out of the ballpark, and all the other pitchers are calling him a lot of bad names as he's doing it.
Or is he just that once-in-a-generation guy who defies physics and time and everything else?
Well, he's so good, and he's so rhythmic and so athletic on the mound. He's probably put some of the least stress on his arm than any pitcher that has ever pitched in the game, because he is so solid and so balanced and uses the lever system so well. And he's been able to do it with 1 pitch throughout the year, even though he does throw the 2-seamer now, and he really has never torqued his elbow with a curveball. But the fastball and the cutter, and it's just been fantastic. And I remember when Bobby was my manager, I was a Met. One of the first questions he asked me, what is the best pitch in baseball? You know, and being the brilliant who I am, I said, oh, strike. And he goes, no, the cut fastball.
Well, no one was hitting it at that time.
They weren't hitting it.
A few guys had figured out what it does and how to hit it, but at that time, it was literally no one hitting him.
Still had an ERA under 2 last year. Linares swings and misses for the first out. Trevor Hoffman, the all-time leader in saves, but he's just kind of renting that spot out right now. Mariano Rivera is on the verge of passing him, and you can see the numbers for Rivera a year ago and the numbers for Soriano with Tampa Bay a year ago, actually leading the American League in saves. So he figures to be a great setup guy and one heck of an insurance policy should anything go wrong with Rivera.
You talk about the American League East being the best division in baseball, and you think then you got Bobby Jenks and Josh Bard behind Papelbon. Then you got Soriano with 40, Daniel Bard, 45 saves, sitting behind Mariano Rivera.
How about the Yankees spending $26 million or thereabouts this year just on their 8th and 9th inning relievers?
Yeah.
Mark Wagner is the batter. He came on to catch an inning ago. He'll take a strike. Let's go back down to Buster again for more.
Yeah, there was a disagreement in the front office about whether or not to sign Rafael Soriano. General Manager Brian Cashman didn't want to do it. He didn't want to give up the draft pick. He didn't want to spend the money. But ownership, Hank Steinbrenner, Hal Steinbrenner, President Randy Levine, thought the Yankees needed to do something in part because of concern over Jabba Chamberlain, guys.
And isn't that a long way from Jabba rules and how we're going to develop him, and has this really panned out? But he hasn't really had the velocity and the life on the fastball and all the other pitches since the kind of the shoulder issues that he's had.
Here's the 2-1 to Wagner. High fly ball down the left field line. Laird going out. Maxwell coming in, and he'll make the catch in left for the second out. Well, the Yankees decided they couldn't bolster the rotation, so let's do it in the bullpen. Let's shorten the game, and if you can't apply your money here to strengthen your team, let's apply it somewhere else.
You know, that good bullpen is referred to in a similar way that people refer to a driver in golf and a putter in golf. You know, you kind of start the game to show, but you really, you know, close it to win the championships, and championships are won in the bullpen.
Not too many World Series championship teams had weaknesses in the 8th or 9th inning when you go back over the years. Broken a bad roller to third and dropped on the exchange. Brandon Laird had it. The bat, which broke, was right in front of him, but it looked like he'd already gotten the baseball and just lost it on the transfer.
You know, and that's one of those rules that I think needs to be revisited, because if that bat is not broken and it interferes in any way, that is a full bat with a fielder fielding the ball, the batter is out because the bat interfered with the fielder fielding. That rule was put in many years ago before the bat started shattering. I think now you should revisit that rule and say if a shattered bat interferes with a fielder making a play, the batter is out.
What constitutes interference?
That was interference. Anytime you're distracted, it's kind of...
So would it be any time that the bat, a large portion of the bat, ends up in fair territory, but it has to be where the ball is?
Where the ball is, exactly.
Where the ball is,
yeah,
in the
if the
vicinity
bat goes
of the ball.
to first and the ball goes to third, there's no interference. But here's the play. As the ball is hit to third, there's an eye on the bat. And, you know, whether or not the bat's going to hit the runner, I mean, hit the ball, or if it's just the bat's going to hit the fielder, it's interfering with the play. It's not supposed to be there. You know, it's just not supposed to be there. If you bunt a ball on the first baseline, the ball's rolling there, and you run with that bat a little ways and drop your bat, and the ball comes and hits that bat, you're out. Okay? Because it interfered with the ball in play. That's just one of those little thoughts.
Swing and a miss, 1-2. They count on Kalish.
Could be almost like Saturday Night Live. Some broadcasts we could have deep thoughts from Bobby Valentine.
But seriously, Babe Ruth's bat never shattered like that and went out and distracted the second baseman field in a ground ball. Today's bats just do that. So let's
thinner handles.
Yes.
And reward the pitcher for sawing the guy off,
yes,
and penalize the hitter for having the bat break, and
yes,
oh, too bad it went over there and interfered with the fielder.
We just made a new rule. Yes.
I second the motion because I'm a pitcher.
Of course you do.
Of course you do.
Two and two the count, with a couple of men on and two down here in the bottom of the 8th. And the fly ball to center field. Inning over. One more look going to break at the shattered bat. Heading down the third base line.
Arthur, out!
Make me.
Evander, if he's not out of this ring 1 minute, I'll bite your other ear off.
Ow, that's not erotic! At least something in this room is attracted to you. I consider it a gift for defying death. With fun.
Arthur.
Put this on, please. Say, wash your winky.
Wash your winky.
Starts April 8th.
For all that's out there, Range Rover Sport
Take command of our most extraordinary lineup ever with lease and finance offers available until March 31st.
What does it take to fly? It takes knowing we have our work cut out for us. Flying brings more challenges every day. But if you ask any of the pilots who work here, they'll say one of the first things they learned in flight school is that if you run before the wind, you can't take off. You got to turn into it. Face it. The thing you push against is the thing that lifts you up. So every challenge, really, is a chance to show that even in this crazy world of no liquids, take your shoes off, cost-cutting, and route cancellations, someone in this industry still has the passenger's back. It starts with a simple hello, and it ends in over 350 destinations worldwide. And along the way, we'll prove we're not just building a bigger airline, we're building a better one.
Two to one, the Red Sox lead the Yankees as we go to the top of the ninth inning here in Fort Myers, Florida. ESPN and ESPN2 send 3 first-round games from the NIT your way tomorrow. Dayton and the College of Charleston at 7 here on ESPN2. Harvard against Oklahoma State, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN, and then UTEP, New Mexico on ESPN2 at 9 Eastern. Dayton, of course, won the NIT last year. Harvard, a team that a lot of people thought maybe deserves some at-large consideration into the NCAA tournament after that heartbreaking last-second loss to Princeton. Tommy Amaker's team will have a go at it in the NIT. Rich Hill back out there for another inning and still baffling hitters. Jordan Perez is the hitter right now. Brian Cashman, the GM of the Yankees, is still here, along with a lot of scouts still working over those radar guns, Bobby.
Yeah, right to his left, that's Billy Epler, head of professional scouting, and a very good friend and very good scout for the New York Yankees.
Boy, Hill is he's really messing with people right now, Earl.
Well, the interesting thing is when you come from an over-the-top pitcher and your breaking ball, normally you have to get your hand in front of the ball to spin it. And you can take that same discipline and get to the front of the ball with a sidearm delivery. That is a rarity. That makes you a commodity. The hardest thing when you drop down is to get that breaking ball to the non-arm side of the plate with a sharp break. He's doing that very early in this transformation, and that's a big plus for him.
Austin Romine is the batter, another young catcher the Yankees are excited about. First pitch swinging, fly ball to left, and just like that, 2 down here in the 9th inning.
But just a little bit more on that breaking ball. When you drop down and you go to throw the sidearm breaking ball, you just don't have the angle to get your fingers to the front of the ball. So it takes discipline of when to accelerate your arm, and takes hand strength and hand discipline to get your hand to the front of the ball. And a lot of times it wants to slip out the top. It wants to slip out early and hang. And that's death for a left-handed specialist.
The batter is Kevin Russo. The Red Sox lead the Yankees 2-1. We saw Alfredo Aceves start for the Red Sox, go 3 innings, give up a run. We saw Manny Banuelos, the young talented left-hander in the Yankee system, start for them, go 2 2/3, didn't give up a run, gave up 2 hits and 3 walks, but got out of some trouble. There's a liner to right field. It'll drop for a base hit for Russo, and the tying run reaches with 2 down here in the 9th inning.
You know, the thing about sidearm, and Bobby's doing some body language and I'm doing some body language up here as we watch Rich Hill, is it's more spine angle change than it is arm angle change. You kind of stay in your natural arm slot. It might be the low side of your natural arm slot, but see, the spine angle is what gets you dropped down. So if you're a youngster at home and you're throwing this little bit more sidearm, don't worry about it. Your arm strength will get up, your shoulder will come up in time as you get stronger, and if you ever want to drop down, you just drop your spine.
Deep right center field. Kalish on the run to make the catch and end the game. Hill gets the last 6 outs of the night. And the Red Sox beat the Yankees 2-1 here in a fun game in Fort Myers. We learned a lot about both teams tonight. A reminder that Wednesday afternoon at 1 Eastern, you can see the Red Sox and the Braves as we continue our coverage of spring training baseball here on the ESPN family of networks. The Red Sox 2 and the Yankees 1 up next here on ESPN 2. We'll send you back to Carl Ravitch and Aaron Boone for Baseball Tonight. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, Buster Olney, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching and so long from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers.
Welcome to Baseball Tonight, setting the scene.